Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations, and thank you very much for joining me here today for this live stream, the first that there has been in quite a while. I do apologise, I have been very busy working on review videos. I have 3 products here that I have been reviewing. I just recently released one on a 3D printer. If you haven't seen it, please check it out when you get a chance, particularly if you are interested in 3D printers. And then I have a couple more reviews. I'm going to be reviewing this thermal camera, and I am going to be reviewing another digital microscope which has a few little secrets built in, so we'll be talking about that later on. Oh crap, God, I'm really glad I saw that. That goes with this at Suzanne. There we go. All right, so just going to go over a couple of things. I was working on a Mac Plus analog board yesterday, and this is it here. I'm just going to talk about the problems that I encountered with it and how it was fixed. We'll just talk about that very quickly. It won't take long. So actually, you know what I need to do? I need to say hello to everyone. I haven't said hello to everyone. So I will say hello to Frederick Raymer, to Jay from the House of Moth, Thomas Armstrong, Enzo Fitzhume, Garth Beagle, Jack68K, Joe Williams, Obsidian Xenon, Apples Anonymous, and SadMac356, Sean Action Retro, Gut Bomb, Eric Helgeson, DJ Craze. I think that's it. Anyone sort of who hasn't said hello, feel free to say hello. Max is there. Hello, Max. So Sean, just want to just quick little shout out to his latest video of his Vision Pro, his G3 Vision Pro. That was very entertaining. I did enjoy that very much. So thank you for your contribution to the zeitgeist. I did enjoy that. I'm watching in Potato Vision at 240p. Wow. Well. Okay, so Mac Plus analog board, dead analog board, did nothing, switched the power, nothing and completely nothing. In actual fact, I mean, I ended up using the thermal camera here, and we got a little bit of warmth here on these 2 little resistors, and I think we got a little bit of warmth down here, but it just didn't get anywhere outside of that. And I have repeatedly said to people, when there's a problem with a Mac Plus analog board, don't look to the caps. Look to the resistors, look to the diodes. They're the more common failing point on these, because these were built at a time when these caps were pretty reliable, and so the common failing point on these are some of the resistors down in this region here, or some of the resistors along the bottom here. You've got your diodes up here for your bridge rectifier. You've got a few other diodes around here. Much more likely that they're going to be the problem. So that's where I generally tell people to focus. So anyhow, I've worked on this for a while. And wouldn't you know it, the problem was a friggin' capacitor. And not only that, this capacitor failed short. I don't normally get that with electrolytic capacitors. But basically I was getting a short down here somewhere that I found, and I was just gradually removing components to isolate where the short was, because I don't actually take the whole component out. I just desolder one side and lift it out. And then that allows me to say, okay, well, the short's not on this side anymore, but it's still on that side. So I generally narrow it down to where I find the short is. And then I ended up removing this guy here, and the short just went away. It just went away completely. And I'm like, no. But it was. So yeah, this little capacitor down here, it's now been replaced. I've actually replaced all the caps on this, because let's face it, at the end of the day, let's future-proof it. And that was the problem. There were a few other problems with this. Someone had tampered with it before, and there were a few things that had been done to it, but it is now working and chiming, and everything is happy, chiming and striving. And so that was all's well that ends well. Let's just check and see. A few people have jumped on, so I had better say hello. Roger Salter, hello there. Geek with Social Skills, hello. Rob Brown, K-Mac Vintage, hello. And there we go. So Jay just watched the Chernobyl mini-series the other night, and he's now got a very high standard of expectation of things that he's going to watch from now on. Because in case you haven't seen it, that's a pretty amazingly exciting mini-series. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's pretty intense, but a very, very well-made TV series. And I have watched it twice, and I feel like I'm ready for a third time. It's amazing. Went and saw a film last night, sort of a smaller budget New Zealand film called Red, White and Brass. I saw a preview screening of it at the Sydney Film Festival. It's coming out in cinemas in this country, I think, in the next week or so. And I'm not sure what its release is going to be like in the rest of the world, but it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, there's no doubt about that. So, okay. Not great, not terrible. Yes, indeed. There's someone who's seen the old thingy. What do you call it? How the meat had been for you. Look, absolutely fantastic. And I apologise I haven't done a video. As I just said at the beginning of this, a lot of my other videos have been put on hold because I've been doing these reviews. And the last review I did took me like a month to do. It was so much work. I reviewed a 3D printer, but it wasn't just a 3D printer. It was a 3D printer that came in a bundle. And so there was so much to review. I had to review the printer, then I had to review this sonic pad, and I had to review this acrylic case, and there was even another part that I just said, look, I can't fit this in the same video. I'm going to have to do a separate video on that. So yeah, that's just taken me so much time. So I will be doing a video on it, and this has been fantastic. I used it just yesterday. I cannot even begin to tell you how easy this makes it for doing voltage adjustments. So feel free to drop in the link to where people can buy these, because it is absolutely fantastic. So I had this Mac Plus that I was talking about, and the analog board was stuffed, and someone had had a go at it trying to fix it. Now, of course, surprise, surprise, when I got it going, someone had just twiddled with the knobs trying to fix it. They're just like, so when I first fired it up, it was reading like about 5.2 volts or something like that. And so I was able to just pop this on there, just make that little adjustment till I get it down to the perfect voltage, and just made it so easy. So this, if you are someone like me, tinkering with a fair few of the old compact Macs, this is an absolute lifesaver. So highly recommend it. Plug it into the floppy port, reads out your 3 voltages there, your 5 volt, your 12 volt, and your minus 12 volt. If you're working with a computer that doesn't have minus 12 volt, you just won't see anything in that one. That's fine. But it just makes life so easy. I'll be using it again this afternoon because I've got 2 Mac Classics up there that I've just recently repaired, and a Classic and a Classic 2, and I know both of them are a bit off on the voltage, so I'll be making that adjustment to those as well. If anyone ever wants to know how to adjust the voltage of a compact Mac, I do have a video in my featured videos on my channel. So yes, so go to that website if you want to buy one of these. Highly recommend it. So there's this one here, and this is just like plugs into the floppy port. But if for some reason, for accessibility reasons, you can't plug it into the floppy port, what you can do is you can get this, I think it comes as 2 versions. You can either buy it just like this, or you can buy it with this cable as well. And with this cable, this allows you to plug this into this like thusly. Then this becomes a remote readout rather than being plugged into the computer. This then has these lovely little purpose-made pins which you can then just plug into the relevant holes in your floppy port, because they're easy enough to figure out where they are. I think they're even numbered. Are they numbered? No, they're just numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no, you put them into, I can't remember. One of them goes into ground. One of them goes into I think it's pin 6 or it's an 8 or something like that. But anyhow, I won't remember it now, but you can use this so that you plug those little pins into your floppy port, and then you have this running remotely if that's the way you want to do it. So, brilliant little kit. I'm going to do a video on it because it's worthy of it. And if you, this is what basically happened was I decided that something like this needed to be made, and then I came to the realization that someone had already made it. So, excellent, saved me the hassle of having to make it myself. Okay, so how are we doing? Just checking to see. Lupin the Third. I'm looking for. I do apologise for this sign that keeps falling down. It's being weighed down by the little power supply, and I lift it up and then it falls down again, and it's covered in spider webs at the moment over here. So that's the joys of being in Australia. So, without further ado, I must mention one more thing here. I've 3D printed what I possibly think is maybe the most useful thing I have ever 3D printed. I'm going to grab the microscope because it's pretty small. So, let me just flip over to scope view here, and I'll show this very quickly. Scope view, bing bang. Oh wow, it's a bit foggy, isn't it? I have to fix that. This here, I have designed and printed a replacement plug for the little, let's go back to this view, the little pluggy things that hold these onto these boards. So you'll be using these on 512K, 128K Mac Plus. What else? They have them on the SC and the SC30, I think, on the Classic 2. So a lot of those compact Macs have this white thing on there, and they're held on with these little black lug things, and I lose them. I lose them all the time. So I decided to 3D print gazillions of them. So now I won't be losing them anymore. Well, I can lose them to my heart's content. So anyhow, I might need to just give this a little wipe, because I did notice that image was a little bit smeary. Great job on 3D printer view. Thank you very much, Enzo. Are you a 3D printer enthusiast, Enzo? I do find that the whole tech thing, whether people be working on vintage computers or whether people be repairing things, whatever the case is, I feel like it does kind of go hand in hand with the 3D printing side of things. First of all, it's a great hobby for tinkerers. People like fiddling with things and making improvements and making changes. I mean, I've got an Ender 3 V2, and I've recently just changed it into a dual Z-axis, so I upgraded it, so it's now got a dual Z-axis. I've just added a CR touch to it, which is like a BL touch, but it's Creality's version. And 3D printed a different shroud and added an extra parts cooling fan and stuff like that. It's great fun to tinker. It's really good fun to make these things better. You can buy ones that are just straight out of the box, you start printing, and that's great. But it's fun when you've got things that you go, oh, I'm going to make that improvement. So, yeah, a lot of fun. Now, I just realised it's not scrolling. Here we go. Okay, so one of the best items we just released, sold out in 24 hours, is the ROM sim program. There's more to come. Awesome. A lot going on with ROMs at the moment. I mean, you've obviously got the old Rominator, and then of course, sort of the K's one, K-Coba's thing. ROM, it's great to see people making new ROMs and all that sort of stuff. I love it. Rob T, hello there. Right, not yet, but soon. Yep. So anyhow, I would just recommend for everyone, if you do like a bit of thing, and of course, if you are into vintage computers, 3D printing is fantastic, because you can end up making replacements of things, brackets and stuff like that. I mean, just take something simple. Like, we know that these days we've got modern equivalents of old things. So you might have an adapter that now allows you to use a little 2.5-inch SATA drive instead of an old IDE drive in, say, a G4 or something like that. Well, that's all great. It's all fine and dandy, but you've got the adapter, you've got the drive. It doesn't fit into the bay. The idea of being able to 3D print a bracket that holds these things perfectly into position, which is actually one of the things I'm working on at the moment. I love being able to do that. So, making your own brackets and stuff. It's a little bit chilly here today. This is the original ROM programmer created by Doug Brown years ago and not been available for 5 years, but we teamed up with Doug Brown and he's working with us to provide them again. I should actually put that on the screen, shouldn't I? Should press this button. Bing. There you go. So people can read that, because it is of importance. Just a reminder to anyone who is watching this, if you have any questions for me, technical in nature or whatever, any stupid questions, stuff about Australia, I don't know. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat, always. If I don't respond straight away, it's probably because I've missed them. Feel free to put the @Brankus Creations at the beginning to try and get my attention. And of course, super chats always get my attention. You're guaranteed of that. So yeah, just sort of, keep the questions coming if you have any. If how hot do you have your soldering iron, all that sort of stuff. I'm always happy to answer those sorts of questions. I had someone recently sort of trying to ask me questions about a sort of a Mac Classic, and I'm sort of saying, jump on one of my live streams, talk about it. I can talk. It's a lot easier for me to talk and stuff like that. Yes, okie dokie. Now, let's have a look at this board. This was provided to me. This was sent to me by Luke. Hello, Luke. I've done a bit of recapping for him before. This just arrived in the mail a few days ago, and this is it. Let's just change the view to the top, and we'll have a little bit of a. Oh, that's not the top. That's the side. What if I go side? Oh wow, they've switched again. They like doing that. which is fine, except the main problem is that the brightness settings are different. So I'll have to brighten this one. There we go. How about that? And the gamma. What about the gamma? There we go. That's a little bit better. That'll do. And the temperature seems a little bit yellow. There we go. That'll do us. That'll do us. It's good enough. All right, so this is a Macintosh Classic logic board. This was brought out by Apple. The Macintosh Classic was meant to be a budget machine. I think it was the first Macintosh for under $1,000. You could get it for $999, I think it was. That was for the floppy-only version. So if you had the floppy-only version, this would have had a little SCSI terminator stuck into that port, and then you would have the floppy in the computer. I have one. I bought a floppy-only version just recently when someone was selling it on eBay or something, and I went and picked it up. And it was the first one I had ever seen, believe it or not. I've seen more since then, but that was the first I'd ever seen. So, you know, budget computer only had it had 1 megabyte of board built, 1 megabyte built in on the board, and that's it there. That's your 1 megabyte of RAM, and it was. So you basically couldn't get this with less than 1 megabyte in it, unlike things like the Mac Plus, where you could theoretically run that with. Could you run it? Yeah, you could run it with two 256s in there. Get it run of 512. Could you? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. So anyhow, and then this had this little port here, which allowed you to put in a RAM card, which sat vertically, and that RAM card had an extra 1 megabyte built in, and 2 slots, so it allowed you to get 4 megabytes. And despite everyone asking, is there any way of modifying these to have more than 4 megabytes of RAM? The answer is not easily. All you need to do is speak to Kai Robinson about that when he re-engineered this board, when he made the Mac Classic Reloaded. He got to know this very well and basically said there is really no practical way of making these have more than 4 megabytes of RAM, which is, you know, it's kind of sad. This one hasn't been battery bombed, but I am seeing a little bit of bubbling over here, so I think there'll be some interestingness there. With the Macintosh Classic, you can pretty much be guaranteed that they're going to have corrosion, capacitor leakage, corrosion, that sort of stuff. Good chance you won't be able to get any sound from them. That's the sound chip there. It's a little rectangular PLCC chip. It's, I think, the only rectangular one you're ever likely to see is the sound chip. It's the same sound chip that is on the, I think, Macintosh 2CI, I think 2SI, Macintosh Portable. They're all using that same sound chip, so they're all interchangeable. Is Vegemite really made from vegetables and mites? No, it's not. It is made from yeast, leftover yeast. I think it's like waste yeast from beer manufacturing, something like that, and lots and lots and lots and lots of salt. If you want to watch someone eating Vegemite who's not a seasoned professional, you must check out Dan from the Canadian Computer Collector's video of this is basically the follow-up. So this is essentially a series of three videos. The first video, where's the picture of me in this? It's gone. Plus, nope, that's not what I wanted. I want, is it this one? Yeah, that one. And then I go like that. There we go. And then I usually put the scope in there as well, don't I? Like that. Don't ask me why those pictures went away, but they did. So I was just a voice before. We can't have that. So yes, basically what happened was Dan had a Color Classic that didn't work. He sent the logic board off for recapping, still didn't work. So he then sent the board to me and a book. and then I sat on it for donkey's years, and then I eventually repaired it. And so I did a video on that and sent it back to him, and then he got it, and then he did a video of him testing it out and getting it up and running over there in Canada. And it was a lot of fun, But I also, when I sent it back, I sent it with a few treats, and one of those treats I sent was Vegemite. And he and his brother, what's his name, Stace. He and his brother Stace had a bit of a Vegemite-a-thon, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed watching it. How's the Ender 5 S1 going? It is going awesome. I am absolutely loving the printer. Yes, I cannot speak highly enough for it. If you are into 3D printing, and in particular if you're interested in Clipper, sort of the firmware, the newish firmware available for 3D printers, please check out my latest review video. He really lumped that Vegemite on there. Yes, he did. And I did tell him how to do it. I said, what you got to do is you got to toast the bread, then you got to put on a lot of butter, and then a very light layer of Vegemite. Make sure the Vegemite gets mixed in with the butter when you do it. Well, he doesn't eat butter, so there you go. There's an immediate strike. You know, that's just going to change your whole Vegemite experience. And you do not spread it on like you do with like peanut butter or something like that. It's very, very lightly spread. I have a verified 512K board is a 512KE. I have verified the 512K board is a 512KE. Oh, well, that's excellent. That's a really good thing. I mean, they're maybe not worth as much as an original 512K from a reselling point of view, but for me, they're very convenient because they read 800K drives. So I actually think that they're a far more desirable board to have from a using perspective. That's my opinion anyway. Do you get do you get supplies from JCar? I get some of them from JCar. I get some of them from what's that other place called? Can't remember the name of the place. What's the name of the place, Nick? I was there just the other day. Oh, never mind. I can't get a lot of stuff at JCar because they just don't carry the sort of range that you need. But I can get a lot of basic stuff there. You know, I mean, they're very, very useful. I've got one that I can actually walk to from here. And, you know, I use them for 3D printer filament. I use them for, you know, sort of standard capacitors. Most of the resistors I have here I bought from JCar. You know, Altronics, thank you. Yeah, so I was there, or is it Alltronics? I've always assumed it was Altronics, but I don't know. I was actually at the Auburn one just last week. So, Mayo is king. Yeah, sure. No, okay, so. Even I know that's a rookie mistake. Yep, the old Vegemite. Now, I've just got to go and check. The chat's going pretty hard and fast here, so I just need to make sure that I haven't missed anything of importance. And thank you, everyone, for keeping the chat going hard and fast. I always enjoy a nice, lively chat. So I'm going to jump across to the microscope now. We're going to have a look at this board and see what we can see. How's it going, Jay? Are we getting anywhere close to... what's the place called again? Place with the nuclear. Chernobyl? Am I getting to Chernobyl standards? Alltronics. Okay, fair enough. We just sell the original Creality filament. Yeah, I was actually there buying some Creality ABS filament. I had done an ABS test with eSun, a grey eSun, and it was awful. The layers kept on delaminating, and like I was doing everything right. I was just cranking up the temperature. It looked nice. I wasn't getting any warping or anything like that. But the layers just weren't adhering properly, and so that was quite. I could literally pick up a 3D model and just split them. And so, hang on, there's that one. We want. Oh, this is just. I'm just going to fix something here very quickly, if you wouldn't mind. Top view is that camera. Side view is that camera. Right, we're back to normal now, except it's a bit bright. It is just bright. Never mind. Okay, so this will just make life a little bit easier now because the camera's just got all mixed up before. Scope view, we've got that, and then this one should be that one, and then this one can get stuffed. There we go. That's the way it should be. Now we're feeling better. I can get it cheaper for you. Thank you very much. Oh, look, I was in a bit of a rush. I had to, it was for my review video and I needed to get hold of it very quickly. And the Creality ABS, the results I got were really good. Just the print looked like I was printing with PLA. It was just beautiful and lovely and everything. So I was extremely happy with that. Did a little benchy, of course. We all do benchies. So this is the area where the battery is here, and this is, you know, where you might see a bit of corrosion from battery. And we do, as you can see, we've got the mask here is starting to lift away, which means that we've got corrosion underneath that, which we will need to deal with. A lot of this stuff will probably come off when I ultrasonically clean it. And of course, look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Look at that. And you can see quite a lot of corrosion here around these capacitors. There and there. Isn't that bizarre? They're like two different brands of capacitor here. But they don't, I mean, it doesn't look like it's a recent replacement. Huh. Wacky. That one doesn't look too crash hot either. So I'm tempted to actually just remove this sound chip and just clean everything up here. I think that's probably the way to go. We've got our two little caps here. We've got four caps here by the power supply thingy, power port, umbilical thingy. I sort of call it more of an umbilical. It is the power connector, but because this actually feeds the video signal back out again, it's stuff going in both directions. So, yeah, look at that. Look at that. This is definitely going to want some ultrasonicing. That's very crunchy, isn't it? Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Bear with me just a second. Okay. Yeah, so we've definitely got some cleaning to do here. I mean, I think a lot of this will come up in the ultrasonic cleaner. I think we'll be fine there. Ultrasonic cleaner is switched on and warming up right now as we speak. Wow, look at that. It's not a good look, is it? Wow, look at that. It looks like almost like it's been burning. Huh. Anyhow, let's get these caps off. Eric's Edge, hello there. We're working on vintage stuff today. I hope it's vintage enough for you, Eric. I know you have very specific vintage tastes. This is a computer that you can run HyperCard on, so I hope that makes it qualify. What's the? Oh, that's the ring light. Yep. I need to do a bit of cable management here. When I set up this new microscope arm, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it, so I didn't really do much in the way of sorting out where the cables were going to go. But I am clearly going to keep it now because I'm extremely happy with it. The speed at which I can just raise and lower this and move it backwards and forwards is just fantastic. Loving it. We do sell the Creality printers, but are too expensive. Yes, I've seen Creality printers for sale at JCar as well. Yeah, I bought them just from the Creality store, the online Creality store. Australian one, I think. It's funny, Creality get a lot of love and a lot of hate. I saw someone just sort of left a message or something in one of the groups saying, you know, someone was talking about Creality and they said, oh, too bad they don't make a printer reliable enough to last for more than a week or something like that. And I thought, geez, that's a bit harsh. I mean, I've had my Ender 3 V2 for a couple of years now, it's still going strong. As usual, hello to people who are watching this as a replay, not watching the live thing. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry you miss out on the chat, but I do know that the time zone is not good for everyone. Right, so let's get some caps off. I've got to remove these two here. I'd like to do it without destroying this serial number. So what I've done is I've put a little bit of heat-proof tape there, and I will probably put this little bit of metal there as well. There we go. And we'll just see how we go. You can't see the metal because it's off camera. There we go. So I'm using my hot air station. I've got this cranked up to, I think it's like 430 degrees or something. And it's on its highest air setting. And the idea with this is, it's 435. Is to get in there fast and hot. Melt it before it has a chance to eject. Doesn't matter about the plastic melting on this, other than it being probably toxic fumes. I'll just get this off the board. Are we going to have poppers? This one really does look like it's been put on later than the others. There we go. Oh, I think we did that with minimal damage. There we go. Those two are certainly going to need to do some cleaning around here, but that's all right. That's what we're going to do. It's just how it's done. Deal with it. I was very impressed with some of the connectors at Ultronics. I have to say, when I went there the other day, I was looking around and I was like, oh, that's a bloody good range. Who else here gets into the old 3D printing? And who here is thinking about getting into 3D printing? Metal printing now. I'm quite into 3D printing and I'm thinking about getting the bamboo. The X1. Is that the one? The bamboo X1, I think. So, a 3D printer like yours and I'm happy. Yep, cool. Yep. For me, what the most rewarding aspects of 3D printing is when you design your own stuff, which I know is not for everyone. You know, some people are just ones that sort of get hold of ready-made models and print them out and that sort of stuff, which is great. That's fun as well. But I am very much into making things in 3D. It's a lot of fun. An interesting thing about the Bamboo Labs that I would like to mention is that it is... I'm not going to use that one. ASM, geez, I'm running out of that one. It's this one, V2. There we go, that's a bit of stinky stuff. I don't mind that for cleaning. One really interesting thing about 3D printing, and certainly for some of the people who are into 3D printing, it is a very... a real tinkerer's hobby. So the people who are, you know, interested in playing around with things and getting their own results, that sort of thing. Now the Bamboo Labs is actually designed contrary to that. The Bamboo Labs is actually designed for people who aren't necessarily into tinkering. They just want to get something that they can plug in and start printing without any sort of problems or, you know, sort of issues with tramming the bed and all this sort of stuff and crazy words like that. And that is a double-edged sword, because you've got the advantage of it being very, very easy to use, but then you've got the disadvantage that they have a very closed system. They're using their own firmware, they're not using someone else's. Things like making modifications and improvements and tinkering ultimately with it are a lot harder with a Bamboo Labs printer than with some of the other printers, which are, you know, you can do what you want. You can say, oh, I want to change this thing, I want to change that thing, I want to put a different firmware on it, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's one of the things you have to think about when it comes to buying one of those. Is, you know, is that what I want? Am I wanting something that I'm not going to tinker with, that I'm just going to want to print? Just, yeah, thoughts. Just thinks. But no one can argue with the quality of the prints of the old Bamboo Labs. They are pretty amazing. Right, I'm just taking the sound chip off. I mentioned this before. I just want a bit of room around here for cleaning stuff up, clean up these traces. You know, we've got all this blackening stuff around here. Just want to make it look good. I want the bamboo for the filament switching. Yeah, the filament switching is very appealing. Being able to change filament, you know, and do multicolored prints. I can definitely see the appeal in that. How long until Jay reminds me I haven't got my fume extractor on? like, see a lot of smoke coming towards your face there, Bruce. It's good at keeping me healthy. I've got some real nasty corrosion going on here. I'm going to have a bit of a scrape at this, I think. Prusa i3 3D printer. Just 3D print them, yeah. Well, that's one of the funny things, isn't it? The very first time anyone ever gets a 3D printer, the first thing they print is something for their 3D printer. It just seems to be the nature of things. Your cue to head to bed. Fair enough, fair enough. I don't know what time it is in your part of the world, DJ Craze, but I quite understand that it is bedtime for some. It is, as you can see, not quite midday here at the moment. This lump of crap here is really giving me some grief. $6:30 Pacific. So that makes you the West Coast there. I am, of course, on the east coast here of Australia. I'm in Sydney. And for those who are fans of the old vintage Macs, I was out near Bondi last night. Near the beach that inspired the blue colour of the G3 iMac, or something like that. Alright, this is going to need more coaxing. Working on a portable board while watching. Good on you. Which portable board is it? Is it the backlit or non-backlit? It is tomorrow in my neck of the woods. It is Monday here today. It's a public holiday today. This is one of our annual public holidays. Today is the monarch's birthday holiday. It used to be called the Queen's birthday, and now it's called the King's birthday because there's been a change in management. We just beat India in the cricket last night, so that's a very good thing. And we being Australia. So we're always happy when that happens. As long as we're winning, we're good. I have 3 of them, 1 a customer and 2 for myself. I don't actually like working on them very much. I mean, I love the computer and I'd love to own one. I'd pretty much given up my chances because there were never that many sold out in this country. So the ones that are here and are still, still aren't in landfill are very expensive. Yeah, I mean, I've worked on a few, as you would probably know because you've probably seen my vids, but I do like them, but yeah, they're a bugger to work on, especially with those caps that are right next to those plastic connectors. It just makes life a little bit more difficult than it should be. And I know what it should be. Come back here. I'm being lazy. I'm not reaching up and grabbing my my chip holder, and I'm paying the price for it. Boo, 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 boo. I am going to be making Thai chicken skewers for dinner tonight, and I am salivating just thinking about it. I have got the chicken marinating at the moment. And by the time I cook it tonight, that chicken is going to be succulent. Beautiful peanut satay sauce I'm going to be making. Yum. Now sits at a steady 2 Roentgens. I don't know what to do, Jay. What can I do? What can I do? Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm just grabbing this little sandpapery thing here. I've got this little sandpapery thing which fell onto the floor and I didn't pick it up. And I'm just going to use it to clear some of the corrosion off the outside of these pins. Blowing something up. Well, it's not out of the question. I've got a bunch of old dead caps here. You can throw some volts at them if you want. Need to buy another one of these. These kind of, they run out of sandingness quite quickly. Right, so let's clean this up and just see how it looks, what we need to scrape. We'll get some, one of those things, what are those things we've got here, these things here. Might just use a toothbrush for this. Toothbrush. There we go. I'll just try and get this gunk away. Just makes it a little bit easier to see what we're working on. Being in focus makes it easier to see what we're working on as well. Right, let's have a crack. So, I am going to need to clean this microscope. Oops, oops, I just bumped the cable. Sorry, folks. There we go. Just making sure that we haven't got any breaks and traces around here. And get rid of any of this black gunk. This, you can see it's actually corroded away some of the original pad. Oh no, oh, it's still there underneath. It's still there. It's fine. Don't panic. Pretty heavily corroded though. Do. Just had a nice big tomato juice burp. Had a bit of tomato juice for brekkie this morning, with my brekkie. There we go, looking good. So now we just need to get some flux onto there, and all of that exposed copper, we want to just get a nice little thin layer of solder on it. And do that by using solder wick with a bit of solder saturated solder wick. I don't pull this this wick with my left hand. I'm only moving it with a soldering iron, so if it gets stuck, if it gets soldered onto something like that, I don't yank and tear something off. So just move it around with the iron. basically what we want to see is we want to see stuff either needs to be solder masked, or tinned with the solder. We don't want to see anything that looks black or exposed copper. Copper. I sort of feel like I'm going to have to keep going down this way at the rate I'm going at the moment because it's still more corrosion here. Solder. When are you getting a proper grinding pen? I don't know. When they tell me, when someone sends me one for free and I have to review it, how about that? Oh, did I remind you lately?
Smash that like button.
Okay, how are we doing here at the moment? We got, what, 28 people watching, so that's all right. That's all right for a Sunday, or a Monday as it is here. Okay. I'm delay tactics here at the moment. I'm just wondering whether I should take this chip off as well and clean up around here. Who's going to tell me what the frequency of this oscillator is? All the clever peeps out there. They'll know. 35 gigaflops. And the clue as to the oscillator frequency is the fact that it's sitting right next to a real-time clock. That should give you a magic answer. Equivalent series resistance. That's locked into the brain pan now. I don't know if I'll take it to my grave, but it'll certainly be with me for a while. This is where the grinding pen would go quite well, wouldn't you say, Jay? Do you concur? $32.768. Congratulations, Enzo. You win this delicious smoked ham. Do you guys have meat tray raffles? So like when you go to the pub on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever, people come around and sell you raffle tickets to win a meat tray, which is basically a tray of meat. I assume we're not the only country in the world that does meat tray raffles. Oh, cool. I'm very pleased to hear that, Colin, that you have meat tray raffles in Minnesota. It makes us all feel closer together, doesn't it? Knowing that everywhere in the world, or other places in the world anyway, we've got all being brought together by the joys of a meat tray raffle. Chook raffle every Friday. Yeah. And they're oftentimes run by like a separate charity or something like that. So it might be the, I don't know, the Rural Fire Brigade or something like that. They'll be allowed to come in to the venue and sell their raffle tickets, and then at a certain time they'll then pull a number, and then the winner gets to take home the meat tray. And it's just a great big tray of protein. Some steaks and some sausages and maybe some chicken and yeah. Definitely an institution in this part of the world, that's for sure. It's always the, a bit of a joke, when someone like wins something, they might win something big and they go, oh wow, I've never even won a meat tray before, and stuff like that. Oi, what have I done? I bumped something. I believe everything's fine now. It's fine now. How are you? Hey, I just realised I made a Star Wars reference and there's no Steve in the chat to keep the thing going, to say the rest of the line. Where is Steve? Where's Mr. Mac 84? He's probably all tired from going to his, or he could be editing for all we know, and putting a video together from his swap meet, VCF swap meet that he was at. Where's my thing? There it is. Lost my thing there for a second. Recovering from sunburn. Yes, I could tell you if I was going to that, I would definitely be wearing a wide brimmed hat for the whole day. And probably some sunscreen. So I've got English skin that does like to burn. And of course there's winter here at the moment, so it's not a big issue here, but... Alright. So, this thing's going to be better than new by the time I'm finished. Outrageous claim. Once again, we've got to make sure that we've got solder on all these bits of exposed copper so that they don't corrode in the future. It does sound like that swap meet was a bit of fun. I've never found anything quite like that here. There might be things like that going on in this part of the world. I've seen some in other parts of Australia, but I've never been aware of a vintage computer swap meet in Sydney, and I don't know why. I mean, you sort of figure... I know they have some things like that in Melbourne. I think they've even had some in Canberra. And I sort of think, well, why not Sydney? Maybe we're all just too lazy in this part of Australia. I know I am. Okay, I don't like the look of that. I'm just going to check and see that I've got continuity. You see there's that little mark there. I think it's probably okay, but I just want to be sure. To be sure, to be sure. I'm so sunburnt from the swap meet. Well, why didn't you wear sunscreen, my good sir? Got to protect that skin. Melanoma is one of the biggest killers out here. One of the biggest cancer killers. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Got to look after your dermis. Right, I will be very surprised if this one is still making contact, but we will test it anyway. And with what shall we test it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With a Kai Wheats, dear Henry, dear Henry. Kaiweets KM601 digital multimeter. So much multimeter, such a small price. Let's put this onto... Wow, look at that screen. It just gets me every now and again. I just look at that great big delicious screen. It's just fantastic. So, put this on to continuity mode. Always test first of all off that it is giving us the beepity beeps, which it is. And then we shall put one higher and one higher. And look at that. Still making contact. Isn't that good? As bad as it looks, it's good. I will put quite a bit of solder on that though to try and bridge that in case any gap does occur. Now we have to start putting all this crap back together again because I've pulled it all apart in my quest for perfection. Got one of those using your link, works great. Pleased to hear it. Do you know if there is a VCF type show anywhere in Australia? Not that I know of. As I have seen, there was an event recently in Canberra, a vintage computer show. I know because a few people I know went to it. I didn't know about it until after it happened. Even people I knew that were going to it, I had no idea they were going to that. I might have actually arranged to go to it if I'd known about it, but I'm so busy a lot of the time. I miss a lot of the communications about this sort of stuff. I'm a sort of a 7-day-a-week worky type person. Okie dokie. Right, let's start putting some things back together. I'm going to start off with my real-time clock. And we'll get a nice big modicum of flux here on these freshly cleaned pads. And we'll drop this on here. With the PLCC chips, pin 1 is always the one on the flat edge with the dot. See the little dot there just above the M for Motorola. And then they're typically labelled on the board with a little circular dot. That's it there. That's a little dot there to show pin 1 right there. So we know this goes around this way. It also has this edge cut off, and you can see that that's on the screen print there as well. So you've kind of got two little checkpoints for how these things should be orientated. Canberra swap meet. There you go. Saw something on Mr. Lurch's channel. I haven't watched it yet. I do enjoy Lurch's stuff, Mr. Lurch. He's a rather tall gent. I think that's why he got his nickname. Whoop. I was about to say perfect, and then I moved it like an Egypt. Right, so let's now do a little bit of drag soldering, because that's the way I roll, man. Move. Yeah, okay, we're going that way. No, let's not go that way. As far as I can, aren't I? Piffles. Just trying to get my angle right. There we go. Okay. There we go. You're in focus? You're in focus. Got some nice big bridges there. I'll come back and fix them up when I've got this thing secure. That one looks okay. I don't know how I'm going to do these ones around the battery thingy. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Let's get a whole stack of flux on here. There we go. That's unbridged it. And then I've got to get this in here. You know what I need, don't you? I need Jay's favourite soldering iron tip. I need a conical tip. Miss McConical. There it is. Good night, Francois. Bonsoir. Oops. That shouldn't happen. Crap. One of the frustrating things about Fluke is Fluke soldering irons are kind of a budget iron, but they're really expensive out here. So you feel like you should be paying for quality, but then a lot of stuff is actually made really poorly. But anyhow, I do like the T12 tips. That's the main reason why I have this iron. Okay, there we go. Tray load Lime iMac G3 with a faulty hard drive, a puck mouse, and a white Pro keyboard, all for $80. That's not bad. I'm loving the Lime. Love the Lime. Okay, just going to check, see that I haven't got any bridges here. Excuse me. They're good. They're good. They're good. They're good. So that one went on without issue. I picked up a few computers just recently myself. I picked up a Quicksilver G4. It's just the 733 one or 734 or whatever it is. Obviously, I would have loved to have got the dual processor one, but I picked it up for pretty cheap. That one, I didn't have a Quicksilver. I've got one of the original, one of the. I've got a dual 450, with the old original grey ones, a G4. I've got I think 3 mirror drive doors of different vintages, but I didn't have a Quicksilver, and I really wanted a Quicksilver to kind of round out the G4 collection. And I picked one up. There was a guy who was selling an SE30. So yes, I now have another SE30. So we've got the count at like 4 now, I think, 3 or 4, and I don't need another one, but they just keep coming at me. Did I say Fluke? I meant Hacko. Sorry, Hacko. Thank you for calling out my mistake. And yeah, so that SE30 came with a network card in it too, so I was very happy with that. So I picked up the SE30 and the Quicksilver in one batch. And then the other day I got a 2015 iMac 21.5, was it 21.5 inch Retina. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I really don't know what I'm going to do with that. I have to find something to do with it. And what else did I buy? I bought, oh yeah, that's right, Apple IIc with a color monitor. Now I was really happy with that one because I've never had a color monitor for an Apple II series, whether it be a 2E, 2, Europlus, 2GS, 2C, any of them. I have never ever owned a color monitor for one. And this one came up and it was the 2C and the color monitor. I didn't need the 2C, I've ended up selling it, but I did really want that color monitor and it works beautifully. And I just fired it up and I played Montezuma's Revenge and I played Ghostbusters and it's like, this is so good. So yeah, and then what else? Oh, someone's selling me a tech step. So I need to save up my pennies for it, but he's given me first choice at it. He's offering it at a very reasonable price, but yeah, tech step, far out. Boo, 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 boo. I mean, I know, like, the tech step, if I was to fire it up with most of the computers that I work on, switch it on, and it'd just say, you got a broken trace somewhere. I freaking know that. No, it wouldn't say that, but I would know that that was what the cause was. How's that tech step recreation project going? See, I don't know. I heard it talked about, but I haven't seen anything that looks like progress. And that's not meant as an insult to anyone who might be working on it. Merely that, yeah, I have heard nothing about it. Now, having said that, there's probably information about it on Tinker Different or something like that, and I just haven't seen it. But, air. Okay, where's the dot? Where's the dot? Whoops. Upside down. I've scraped the dot off, but it's there. That is the little pin 1 dot. Just there. Right there. That's the pin 1 dot there, but it's just been almost scraped off. Jesus, my nails are a bit long. They need some trimming. They just keep on growing. Got one of our little rescue kittens desexed last week. We'll get the other one done in a couple of weeks' time when the finances have improved after getting the first one done. The desexing itself was very cheap, but we ended up getting some blood tests done as well, and wow, sticker shock. It's almost done. I've seen working versions. There we go. That is awesome. So tell me, what is the situation with regards to the little modules for it? Is someone recreating those? Is that the thing? Because the one that I'm buying only has 2 modules. One of the modules that it comes with is one that I definitely want. It's the one that does the 2CI and the SE30 and stuff like that. But the other module is like for hard drives, and I couldn't give a stuff about that. So it'd be great if I get this one. It'd be great if I could get the reproductions of the modules. Built in the modules for original are recreated and get from my site. Oh wow, look at you. Ever go at you? God, I really need to check out your stuff more carefully. I really do. You're some kind of genius. Not a dummy like me. What am I doing? Recapping. Guide. Here it is. Oh, cool. So how many modules are there? I'm not even sure how many there are in total. Just curious. Curious. Community is a genius behind it, and some great support team members. Yeah. Look, as I keep saying, I've said this so many times, and ever since I started really getting into the vintage Mac community, it's just always reminds me how incredibly smart people are. You know that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Well, I feel like I'm in the right room a lot of the time, because I never feel like the smartest person in the room. Oh dear. Yeah. Got some caps. I'm just going to replace these 2 while I'm here, just in this region. You know what, I'm going to stick a bit of UV solder mask on these first. So we're going to have to fire up the laser, 4 volumes, and the SCSI ROM. Okay, so I think the 2 that I'm getting with this one, the one is the one that has the SE30 and the 2CI, and it's got a few others, I think, on it. And the other one is the SCSI one. So I'm just going to clean up here. We've got a couple little traces that you can see run right down the middle here. They have been exposed. I've exposed them for the frauds that they are. I've exposed them here, and for that reason I'd like to get a little bit of UV mask on them, just in case we accidentally create some shorts or something like that. There we go. Looking good. Oh, it's very good. I feel a sneeze coming. Oh, no, it's gone away. These things are never easy anymore, you know? I mean, there used to be a time when I just take the caps off, stick new caps on, and go BAM! Not anymore. Now there's always cleaning and corrosion and mess and blood and guts from the rod and grease. Volume 1 is classic SE, SE32. Okay, so it's not 2CI, it's 2CX. So that's the volume. Volume 1 is the one that this one comes with. Volume 2, LC, LC2, Classic 2. That'd be a good one to have. That would definitely be a good one to have. Having said that, I can't say I've ever had any real trouble with an LC or an LC2. The 3 2CI, 2SI, 2VI, 2VX, Performer 600. That's just the Performer 600. That's the 2V. That's just like a 2VI, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the 2VI and the Performer 600 are virtually the same thing from memory. That would also be a very good one to have. So that would probably be my first choice. So I reckon Volume 1 and Volume 1 would be my first choice. Volume 3 would be my second choice. Volume 2 would be my third choice. But it sounds to me like I'll be able to have them all due to the wonderful work of the vintage Mac community. So I'm just using UV solder mask here, by the way, and I'm just pointing a UV laser at it just to dry it out. It dries out quite quickly. You know, when you're using a laser like this, it's only going to take about a minute. If I'm covering really large areas and I can't be bothered using a laser, I do have a larger UV light that I can just sit on top, but it does take a lot longer to cure. I'd probably be inclined to go away to leave it for an hour or something. If you happen to be in a sunny part of the world, one of the quickest ways of curing UV solder mask is just stick the stuff out in the sun. You put it into some direct sunlight and the thing will dry in moments. And if you want to go even further than that, if you're in bright sunlight and you have a magnifying glass so you can focus that down into a smaller area, you'll dry it even quicker. So yeah, how about that then? Right, so I've got to put a little bit of flux on either of these pads. And we will drop these capacitors on here. These are 47 microfarad 16. You can see here little numbers on there. You've got 16 there, which is telling me it's 16 volts. The 476 means it's 47 followed by 6 zeros. So 47 million picofarads is what it is. And that is equivalent to 47 microfarad. Magic of science. Performer 600 series is the same as the LC630 form factor. Ah, okay. Cool. Which is the one which is like a 2VI, but it's called a Performer something? Anyone? 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 I have, I think, 2 2VIs, and possibly even 2 2VXs as well. For some reason, they were just one of the ones that seemed to keep being available to me. Like I had this guy that used to just ring me up and say, "Oh, I've got so-and-so for sale, do you want it?" And I'd go, "Well, not really, but, you know, your price is kind of hard to ignore, so yeah, okay, I'll come and grab it." go. Looking good. I think in my last live stream I was working on a Macintosh 2CI that had been battery bombed. Couldn't get it to work, of course. And I said I was going to go and figure out a matrix of the, using the schematic, I was going to make out a little matrix like one of these of the address lines. And I did do that. And I think I might have even printed it out. I just have to come and use it. Right, so that's the worst part of the board cleaned up. I think from here on in it'll just be normal cleaning. And that. So we'll just get a bit of flux on there. And some solder. Oh, I redesigned the interrupt switch in 3D. So if you're someone who's wanting to print out an interrupt switch, that's the little one that sits on the outside of an SC, SE30, Mac 2, 2X or 2FX. It's a little switch that, you know, it's a bit of an afterthought type switch. Sits on the outside and has little pins that go in and touch the buttons from the outside. And there was one of those on Thingiverse, and I grabbed it and I just realized it was so wrong. It was the wrong size, the wrong shape, the little icons and the buttons were the wrong size. There was a lot wrong with it, so I remade it. So I haven't got it up on Thingiverse yet, but I will. I'll probably put it up on the old Tinker Different as well. So if anyone is interested in printing their own programmer's interrupt switch with a 3D printer, that will be coming soon, because these things have got to be right, don't they? Eh? We're enthusiasts. Okay, every Mac has a Performer 600 and it looks like the 2VX, same speed too. Now, okay, so it's 2VX, okay. It's 2VX or 2VI, you sure? 2VX, same speed as the 2VX, yeah? Okay. Yeah, okay. So I thought it was the same as the 2VI, but you've got it right in front of you, so you're probably right. Bup, 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 bup. To the eye is 16, it's 32. Okay, cool. And does it have an FPU, or is it just a socket for an FPU? 2VI, I think it was a 2VI, was the first battery bombed computer I worked on. It wasn't too bad. There were some busted traces underneath the RAM sims, so I had to take the RAM sockets off. So they were underneath the RAM sockets, and so that wasn't fun. But got it working. It still works today. It's in storage with all my other computers. I put a computer... I must actually speak to those people. I loaned a computer to a production company. It's been used in a TV show. I'll be very interested to see that when it comes out. I loaned them a Centrus 650 and 13-inch monitor. So yeah. Performer 600 has an FPU optional. Yeah, okay. Bizarre. I know that Justin, we all know Justin. He was working on one of those, I think, recently. Can't remember the name of his channel. It's Computerized Start or something like that. Is it Computerized Start? I can't remember. I jump on and say hello from time to time when he is live streaming. I don't always get a chance to, but I do when I can. I like the fact that he just streams himself. large amounts of people all talking at the same time. There we go. What has happened to my camera? Is it just me, or is like this image just not changed in ages? I mean, are you guys seeing just the same thing there? 34S0042? Well, if you have just been staring at the same thing all that time, I do apologise. I've been doing all this stuff, and I've just been glancing up there at the chat, and hey, everything's fine. And then just like, hang on, that picture looks very much like it did before. So if you have just been staring at the same thing that whole time, I apologise profusely. Was good, clear view. Oh, okay. Strange. Anyhow, it's all good. Everything is good. Everything is good. Yes. Now, so I think this is a row of 47s here, but I will check with my... Yep, it's a row of 47s. So I'll get my little tantalum caps here. Oh, God, my neighbour's revving up his shitty car. Oh, man, that sounds so four-cylinder. Nothing wrong with a four-cylinder car, don't get me wrong. Good, economical engine. It is good. But when people are revving the crap out of them and it just sounds like a lawnmower, it's like, no. Do-do-do. 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 How is everyone doing, by the way? Anyone working on any interesting projects? Oh my goodness, I've got an oil stain on the front of my shirt. I must remember to put my apron on when I'm cooking. I ordered some shirts recently and they didn't arrive. Thankfully, the people I ordered them from have been very kind and they've resent out the package. I hope it arrives. It'd be nice if the original package arrived as well, because then I'd get twice as many. But I will settle for the ones I paid for. Because I'm a lazy, no good work from home person, I just wear t-shirts. Lots and lots and lots of t-shirts. Okay, wrestling with the SGI Indigo 2 at the moment. I'm so jealous, Sean. Inline 6. Trying to fix a family of old Commodore PET computers. I love those. I love those. Is it the ones that flip up? Is that the ones? The ones that flip open at the top with the monitor at the top and that kind of had the angular thingy? I love those. The thing I love about them the most is that they were a futuristic design. So they used to appear in TV shows and stuff all the time, because people, whenever they would draw a computer, they would illustrate it like the PET, because it was kind of like it was this concept of futuristic at the time. And so I just love those computers that have that sort of style about them. So love those. Yes, and obviously I'm super jealous about, I mean, I love the SGI machines, but I think I missed the opportunity to pick those up cheap. They're getting so insanely expensive now. I reckon there was probably a time where they were down at a reasonable price, but they're not now. iCloud locked iPhones at the moment. Are you having any luck with them? I mean, what do you just turn them into doorstops or something like that? Be like those videos where they pack them into resin and they lathe them into a vase or something like that. PSU gut replacements for most of the Mac 2 series machines. That's a great idea. You could definitely use those. I've got a power supply here I still haven't tested, and the only reason I haven't tested it is because it means I have to pull out a Mac 2, and they're so big and heavy. But I've got a power supply here which is rusty, but I think might work. So I've got to try that out sometime and see if it works or blows a fuse or something like that. Okay, working on a Macintosh 2. Don't have the correct batteries or holders, so just set up a jumper button across and a CR203. Yep, yeah, that works fine. I use an ATX power supply that I've just wired, the hardwire to just bypass the power circuit, the power up circuit, startup circuit. So that's what I do with the old Mac 2 if I'm testing it. I've just got the standard ATX power supply that I've just put connectors on. Then I just plug it in, and it just goes in and powers it up. You don't need to worry about pressing the button. So that's but yeah, that you can use that if you're not having the batteries. But yeah, you can do that little trick where you hotwire them. 3 9-inch models and 2 with 10-inch monitors. Cool. All have broken fuse holders, broke PCB on the monitors, and rusted PCB. I'm very envious. I mean, look, it's another one of those computers I'd like to have one day. If I had room for it, I don't. You know, if I had like a proper showroom of vintage computers, I'd love to have one of those in there because I just think they're just so iconic. Absolutely love them. Found an SGI 02 at the VCF flea market. Not cheap, but not horrible either. Yeah, what's yeah? I mean, I'm not going to ask you because I don't want you talking prices on the live stream, but I am very curious to know what your idea of not cheap, not horrible is, because yeah, it's very expensive. So 1 microfarad, 50 volt, and another 47. So let's get that. 47, 1 microfarad, 50. And then that's it. This will be recapped and we can try it out, assuming I can find a classic chassis around here with a power supply in it. Got lots of SEs here at the moment. I can see a classic. Oh, I can also see a broken CRT. Maybe we should fix a CRT while we're at it. How does everyone feel about that? Swap a CRT from a Mac Plus into a classic. How does everyone feel about that? Just voice your opinions in the chat as to whether you'd like to see that next. Yes. $1 million. That's how much it'd cost in this country, I can tell you that. The market has softened a little bit here. I think maybe people are feeling the pinch and maybe not spending as much on their hobbies as they were. But I've just seen some things on eBay lately where I'm looking at the prices and thinking, you know what, that's not too bad. So I suspect maybe the hobbyists don't have as much spending money, or maybe a lot of these people like me have kind of got all they want now. I mean, I've got virtually everything that I want in my collection. There's really only a couple. I want to get a portable, and I wouldn't want a Quadra 800 or an 840 AV. Yeah, it's not a lot I still want in my collection. I've got all the bits. Just a reminder to anyone who is doing a bit of recapping, someone who might be watching this thinking, oh, I'm going to give recapping a try, let's have a watch of this. Well, first of all, watch my recapping video rather than my actual pre-recorded one, rather than a live stream. But if you do want to get information from the live stream, just a reminder that tantalum caps have the stripe on the positive side, electrolytic caps have the stripe on the negative side. It is because someone out there is evil. I don't know who, someone. Okay. Joe, hello there. Welcome and welcome and welcome. Whoopsie. Yes, CR2. Go for the CR2 repair. Okay, let's do it. Let's give that a whirl, shall we? So I'm going to need to make a bit of space because I'm going to need space to do the CRT. first thing we'll do is we'll take the good CRT out, and we'll try not to break it in the process, and then we shall swap it over. Now, I'm going to try and do this in a fashion where I might even be able to cut this out and do it as a separate, on its own type video of me doing this. So let's start with, I'm going to do this side view to start off with. I know it's a bit not good, but it's going to be the best way in order to see what I'm doing at this particular moment, I think. So I have got a Mac Plus here, and I have nothing but the case and the CRT. Analog board is stuffed, logic board is stuffed, I think. I don't even remember the history of this one, but it's been sitting out here for a long time, just gathering dust and spiders, and there's probably things inside it that are going to kill us. Or could be a nest of rats in there for all we know. I'm a bit scared now, actually. Hello! Wow, look at that. That ain't good. Okay, so, oh, look at a few bits and pieces in there, bit of rust. So this, I mean, the rust that we're seeing here is an indication that this one was probably a battery bond thing. So, I'm going to leave this on for the moment just to protect the nipple. That's the little nipple that breaks there. This is a 9-inch CRT. Pretty much all of the Macs use this same CRT, and in actual fact, it's this very same spec as the little green one from the Apple IIc as well. So you can actually swap these over with the green screen for the 2C if you want a green display, which I absolutely don't. So that's at the top. I just have to remember, because these need to go in the right way around. I think they do. Oh, actually they don't have. Oh, look, little baby spiders. So, so they're all using the same CRT, but they don't all have the same connection here. So it means that this has to be swapped over. This is the yoke. We'll call this the yoke. And that's the yoke connector. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to take the CRT out. We are then going to take the yoke off and swap it with another yoke. So, battery bomb. All right. All right, just checking to make sure I wasn't missing anything important in the chat. And obviously, all of the discussion on the chat is important. But some of it needs me to respond to it, some of it doesn't. And I think I'm all good for the moment. So I'm going to take these screws out so I can get the CRT out on its own. 1, 2. These are the same size screws. These are the plastic case screws for these compact Macs. They're exactly the same. They're interchangeable. I can use these same screws as the case if I want. The plastic ones, the ones up the top, not the little black metal ones down the bottom. Come on. There we go. Always keep magnets around. Always. Okay, so let's take the CRT out, and then I'll put all this other crap away so that it's not crowding me. I've got this chassis here. I should do something with it, shouldn't I? Anyone got any ideas? Don't say fish. Don't say fish. What do you call those things? Fish tank. Don't say fish tank. I'm not going to turn it into a fish tank. I've already created one computer where I put a mini, an Intel Mac Mini into a classic chassis. Okay, so let's just check the top view here for a sec. There's our beautiful CRT. Isn't it lovely? Is it delicious? I don't think it has a whole lot of burn in. It's a bit dirty, but that's okay. Who cares about that? It's kind of cool. It feels a bit steampunk when you hold these like this. Do you reckon? Does it feel a bit steampunk to you? It feels steampunk to me. Yes, they do have to be around the right way because this has to be on the correct side. Right, so let's undo this yoke, and we've basically got a little clamp here. We just need to undo. Make sure, of course, the CRTs are discharged if you're doing this. These have not been switched on in an eternity. So I don't have any risk of high voltages here. And we've got a clamp here as well. Just looking for anything that looks like it's holding the thing on. And then we'll just try and twist it. There we go. And then I'm going to take that off now. And we'll take this off. Now, once you do get this off, you will realize just how insanely fragile these are. Look at that. Oh, you should probably wear goggles if you're doing this, by the way, because there's always that risk of implosion if you happen to break it, which is not good, okay? Okay. So here's our yoke connector. You can see all the lovely coily stuff going on there. Isn't that groovy? Greetings from Brisbane. CRT swap indeed. That is what we're doing. Quicksilver. Hello there, Quicksilver. I hope the weather is nice up there. It's fine here, but it is a little bit on the chilly side. So here is our CRT with our very, very precarious thin neck. And I have to put this somewhere where it won't get damaged while I get the other one. Now I'm going to put it somewhere which I don't consider a particularly safe space, but it's all I've got. You know what I could do with it? I'll put it in here. There we go, that's safe. I just put it in a bucket full of birdseed. Well protected. Nice and soft. All right, so this is the one with the broken CRT. So basically what happened was I dropped something from a height and it just landed straight there like that. It went, first one I've ever broken here. I broke one in the 1990s. I'm not proud, but I did. And now we need to take this guy out. These screws look very similar, but they're a little bit shorter in the Classic compared to the Plus. You can see them there. Show the front of the CRT. You want to see the black mark on the front? You will find that this one I don't think has the black mark on it because the air went out very, very slowly. The black mark you generally see if the air comes out quickly. So yeah, this really went. So yeah, we'll have a good look at it once I take it out. I need to get the analog board off in order to get to the... I don't even know if this computer works. It looks like it's been recapped, so I'm going to assume yes. I'm not discharging here. Once again, this has not had power to it in a very long time. So I'm in no danger of any built-up charge anywhere. Okay, so there we go. I really should do this properly, shouldn't I? Because at the end of the day, this is the one that I'm fixing. I just, reminder, this is the one that I'm fixing. All right, so let's just pop that down there for the moment. And pop those screws there so I don't forget them, so that you guys don't let me forget. Oh my God, that's a spider or something. Something live in here. I had a cocoon at some stage. Sorry. Because this has been broken, it's been sitting over there for a long time, which is why it's in a bit of a state of neglect. But it'll be good to get this one working again and feeling happy. All right, so that's all 4 screws. That's the screen. Let's get rid of the rest of it. Okay, so here is the one with the broken CRT. And as I say, can't actually see any evidence on the front of this that this has been damaged. But there is evidence on the back, and that is I put a great big sticker on it saying broken CRT. So, we have to do the same with this now. We're going to get this here. As you can see, very different connector on this one. So that's why we have to swap this part over. So we're now going to be very gentle. There we go. And excuse my. And where's the other one? Where's the other one? There it is. Okay. There we go. So this is worth nothing. I've had a lot of people contact me and say, when this happens, is there anything you can do? Well, I imagine once upon a time there was probably some people that might have been able to repair something like this. But these days, CRTs are a thing of the past. I don't know that there are any paths to repair for these. But I don't know, it makes a nice little bit of steampunk decoration, don't you think? Watch you about a year. Love your vids. I'm in Wisconsin in the USA. First time commenting. What's the voltage in the CRT or common CRTs? Hello, the Fix 69. That's a very good question. I don't know the exact answer. I do know that it is not as bad in these little black and white 9 inches as it is for, say, some of the color ones. I've heard that some of the really big color CRTs, you could be looking at potentially fatal dosages of electricity. With these ones, it's my understanding that it's very uncomfortable, very painful, but not fatal. I don't know what the voltages are, but they're very high because, I mean, they make big sparks. So they're going to be in, what, tens of thousands of volts, I would imagine, I would think. All right, let's see if we can do this without breaking the other one. I will feel a lot better if I don't break the other one. So, here we go. There's a little hole for the thing. This needs to go with that part facing the other way. So, this needs to come down like that. Now, this is the fun part because we may end up having to adjust this while it's powered on. If you have this thing too far down, your screen can end up being in a situation where you can't actually fit it. If you have it too far up, you'll find that screen is too small. It'll end up too small. It'll be sort of, imagine if it was like a projector, you're moving a projector further away or closer. So you can end up with the screen not fitting inside this space, or you can end up with it being too small inside there. So you've got to get this, into the Goldilocks zone. And of course, there's also the rotation of it. If it's twisted, you'll end up with the image being twisted as well. But we do have the ability to make some adjustments there. So that we now need to tighten this up, and we're going to do that extremely sheepishly because we don't want it falling off, but at the same time we don't want to break it because it is glass, and me and glass have a smashing relationship. Hope those convergence magnets are close to the olds. We'll soon find out. Okay. Right. It seems reasonably secure. I may need to undo this and twist it if it's crooked. But we're going to put this back in the computer now. And I do hope that what we're doing here is essentially dispelling the idea that this is some sort of massively difficult and complicated thing, because it really isn't. And as you can see, I mean, this is something that's only taken me a matter of minutes to do. And yet, for some reason, I've only just got around to it. But never mind, that's another story. do. 9 kilovolts. There we go. 9 kilovolts. See, people in the chat know. Not like me. I'm a fraud. I fix things by accident. I actually have another thing to fix. Hopefully I might get a chance to do that after this. I'll either do it on the stream or I'll do it after the stream finishes. I've got an induction, one of those little portable induction cooktops. You plug it into the mains power and it gives you an induction. So I've got a ceramic cooktop, and ceramic cooktops aren't hot enough for doing stir fries. So I've got an induction thing that I can plug in and run induction and then put my wok on that. I've got like a wok with a flat bottom so you can put it onto induction. And last night I went to go cook something and the night before, and I just switched on the induction cooktop and then the circuit breaker tripped. I was like, oh, is that coincidence or what? And then, so I thought, okay, well, let's try again. And so I reset the circuit breaker, switched it on again, and tripped instantly. So it's got a problem. Make sure you lick the anode cap before you stick it to the CRT. It's always trying to get people to lick things, you know. All right, so this is the logic board that I was talking about before, and as you can see, it has the terminator, SCSI terminator on here, which means that this was originally sold as a floppy-only unit. So no hard drive in this one, which of course also means no hard drive bracket. But we're not worried about that because someone has actually designed a 3D printable replacement bracket for these computers. That will also be appearing on Tinker Difference soon enough. It's in two parts and you have to glue them together because the way it's printed, it has stuff hanging off both sides. So you would have to do it with a huge amount of infill to print it in one piece, and that's just, I hate infill. I hate printing with infill. I like designing things so that they don't need infill. So I printed it in two parts with two large flat surfaces that are very easy to glue together. You just slap the two pieces together with a little bit of super glue, and then that's rock solid. So this has already been recapped. A little bit dirty though. Put a tantalum cap in backwards. No. Why would I do that? Okay. I've got a dusting brush, but it's up in the house at the moment, so I'm having to use my toothbrush scissors instead. Right, so let's go put this together and let's start mucking around with the image and lots of high voltages, because that's what we do here. Let's get the old analogous board. Where did I put it? I'll put it somewhere. Put it somewhere for safekeeping. Here. Here it is. So this has been recapped. You can see that it's got replacement caps here. These aren't the originals. These are ones I actually bought from J-Car. They're low ESR. This is not a recent one. This is probably one of my really early recaps because I generally don't use those caps anymore. I use Panasonic ones. So anyhow, it might still work. It might not. I guess we'll find out. Okie dokie. So that goes there. That needs to be connected to sound. So we have speaker. There we go. There we go. This is feeling, I'm getting a real sense of satisfaction doing this at the moment. Now it may not work because, as I say, this analog board, I'm not sure of its condition, but we'll soon find out. There we go. This is the little RAM board I was talking about right at the beginning of the stream that you put in. It has 1 megabyte on board, so this takes you up to 2 megabytes. You can stick a couple of ones in there and take it up to 4. Doesn't matter what size you put in there, the computer will only recognize 4. So, going to get that on there. Get that on there. And that on there. Okay. Everything's plugged in. Almost everything's plugged in. Let's plug the power in, or the umbilical, as I call it. Now you haven't got anything connected to a hard drive. Zing, zang, zong. Oh, ground. Don't ever forget to connect this. If you do, you will regret it. This poor little CRT has been resting for years. You won't know what hit him. Okie dokie. Now you're likely to get flicker if it works because the camera here is 25 frames a second and this is 60. so they go all out of sync. So I can fix that later if needed. Feeling a little bit pink. Is anyone else feeling a bit pink? There we go. Now we're feeling a bit green. Wow. I feel like this image has just been so messed with now. Well, let's just reset it. There we go. So now we can go like that. Maybe like that. And like that. And that'll do. That'll do. How about that? Right, so going to connect some power to it. I have got 240 of the finest Australian volts here. And this is the 240 volt version of the analog board. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1. It's making the sound of an analog board with a problem. Oh, look at that. Whee. It's trying. Let's just check the little voltage thing, because we have one. My guess is this is going to be a bit under voltage. We have got 4.2 and 11, so 4.2 volts and 10.9 out of the 12. So we're way under voltage. Now I'm not going to twiddle with the voltage setting on this because that's not the problem. There is a good chance that when this warms up, it'll just come good. But it is tilted, yes. So we do need to at least sort that out. Now, a few little tips when you're working with these things with live power. First of all, just don't do it. It's just not good. But if you are going to do it, if you're going to be stupid, take off jewelry. Only ever work with one hand. Don't work with two hands when you're doing this, because that way, if you happen to touch a live voltage and ground, you're not going to send that power across your chest. You're likely to just burn your hand. And of course, no grounding straps. Make sure you're wearing rubber shoes, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to just undo this a smidge, and I'm going to, okay, how am I going to undo that? I need a little snub nose thingy. Yeah, that might do it. Is it going to get to it? I do have a snub nose screwdriver, it's just not here. It's in a whole nother place. Hang on, this might do it. It's inside the house. H2. How's everyone going in the chat? Don't ground yourself. Yes, no grounding strap. Don't ground yourself. It's very, very important. These are all stay alive sort of tips. But of course, the most important thing is if you're just not confident about it, just don't do it. Oh, there we go. Told you it'd warm up. I need a different thing. I really do feel like I need to just go and get the snub nose screwdriver. It's sort of... it's what a sensible person would do. God, I didn't do it that tight. There we go. I think I turned it a bit there. There we go. All right. So, let us see now if we can twist this. Are we twisting it? Yeah, we are. It's pretty good. The wobbling that you're getting there at the moment, we can probably eliminate that by replacing, there's a component on the board here, was it QP1? And we'll probably get rid of it, and I probably need to replace the big cap on it as well. I will do that because I want it to be working. We need the position of this to be off to the left a bit. We do that with these little things here. Oh, Steve, hello there. I was asking where you were before. Hello, Tev Rudin. Jeff Banan, hello. yes, Mac 84. You know, he's the Johnny on spot with the camera. Help Sean out with his shenanigans. Right, so I think that's pretty good. So that is a successful CRT swap. If you've only just turned up, you missed it. But I have just replaced the CRT from this Macintosh Classic. It says Classic 2, but it's got a Classic board in it at the moment. I've replaced the CRT. Is it still crooked? What do you guys think? I've replaced the CRT in this with a CRT from a Mac Plus. And it's dirty, but it doesn't have... Oh, it's got a little bit of burn at the top, but nothing major. It's certainly better than the one that was broken, that's for sure. And we have centered... Well, it was crooked, so we have straightened it. And then we have centered it. And we're pretty much good to go. I will tighten it up with my snub nose screwdriver later on, but for the moment it's not going anywhere. I was at a wedding this morning. Needless to say, I came home and had a long nap. Fair enough. Oh God, there was a terrible thing that happened here overnight at a wedding. There was a wedding at a winery in the wine regions up here, and then the guests were getting a ride home in a bus, and the bus toppled over at a roundabout, and 10 people have died. It's just awful. My thoughts go out to those people and their families. Okay, so I'm a little bit under voltage at the moment, but again, I'm not going to do any twiddling with volts at this stage because this analog board does need a few little things sorted out. Yeah, so obviously what is being discussed here is Sean from Action Retro's video. When this is finished, please go and check it out. It's a lot of fun, poking fun at the Vision Pro. Yes, it was at the swap meet where Steve was also present, and he was the man behind the camera. Okay. Right, okay. So anyhow, look, that's all gone really well. I'm very happy with that. We've ended up replacing the CRT. This is a classic. It's now working. It wasn't before. Let's now test the logic board that I just repaired, because that's what the whole reason for this was. So I'm going to switch him off. I expect it will probably start up quicker this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if we still have the wobbles. You can adjust the voltage on these boards, but it's minor adjustments. If you are working on these and you're way out, don't even bother with the adjustment. You know the problem is somewhere else. The problem is likely going to be in caps, particularly with the Classic and Classic 2, because they are known to have caps that go bad. Okay, that's discharge, Jed. Actually, I don't need to do that bit yet. I'm going to do that bit after. Let's keep that in for now. I'm just going to try the logic board. So here is the logic board. This is my logic board. Now we're going to test the one that I just recapped. So I know it's mine because it says branches. No, that's my keyboard. That's not the logic board. There it is. There's the logic board. So this is the one that I just recapped. Neat and tidy. A lot of work had to be done around here because it was so ugly. And then let's just get him in. And I'll connect up the floppy port. I don't know why, but I did. Right, so we've got that. Do I have a SCSI emulator here? Yes, I do. Found one. Yep, cool. So let's get the power in and let's see what happens. It may just start wobbling to start off with, but we'll just see what happens. Plug in my little power thingy. 3, 2, 1, and straight into a chime. Sitting on about 4.75 volts, 11.3. It's definitely under voltage at the moment, but the board works. We got sound. So the recapping was successful. I can plug in some SCSI and we'll see if it will do a boot. restart it. Oh, one thing. I've got a sneaking suspicion there's something wrong with the SD card in this one. Oh wow, it's a really weird SD card too. I'm just going to switch it off. Okay, that looks better. Didn't like being hot plugged, hot swapped. Don't hot swap your SCSI. Just remember that. There we go. You can't really see it because of the brightness, but that's not helping. What about that? That's not helping. You're just going to see the screen go a bit weird here for a second, so just bear with me. There we go. Just only the best for you guys. Just get ourselves some. What's coming in here? Manual iris. That's what we want. Close, close, close. What? Why can't I go darker? Well, you're messing with me. Auto iris. There we go. And then I can darken it a bit. There we go. Okay. It's very dark, but at least you can see the screen. So, we don't have enough memory to start up. System. Oh, there we go. That's just the special startup by itself mode that I have activated for this computer. So I'm just going to add an extra megabyte of RAM. Oh yeah, there we go. And let's fire it up and see if it'll boot into. It does need more cowbell. More cowbell. Command Option X. Oh yes, that's something we can do with this lovely little Mac. It's one of the very few Macs, if possibly the only Mac, that had a system built into the ROM. How awesome is that though? I love it. I would have to connect a keyboard for that though. You realise that, don't you? There we go. Slight flicker. I do apologise. I'm not quite in sync with the shutter speed, but it's all right. It's good enough. Good enough for live streamers, they say in the biz. It looks like it's going to start up with 2 megabytes, so that's good. I don't think it's actually going to shit itself. So the next thing I'm going to do is take out this analog board and just see if we can just make a couple little updates to it to maybe make it so that it's not so finicky and get that voltage right. And yeah, and then move along. This is my classic, so this is a little bit selfish of me, just working on my own stuff, but you know, what are you gonna do? This might seem like it's crashed, but it hasn't. It's going to have this pause. It's doing some form of self-test, and I don't know what it is, but it's like this. And then all of a sudden, it'll just start popping up some extensions. My hands are a little bit dirty. Sorry about that. Here we go. Here we've got ourselves mount image and SCSI to SD, SCSI probe. And it's a legal instruction, okay? So that instruction has been sent to jail and is doing some hard time. 701 is what we're using here, which is typically not a problem. But I will wrestle with this only so long. And then at a certain point, I will say, no more. I've got some ones floating around here. I can take it up to 4 if that's what people want. Here's a 1. Oh, crap. Here's a beautiful looking, isn't that, that's definitely steampunk, isn't it? Look at that yoke. Alright, where's the other one? Here's another one. Two ones, and they both match, and they've even got a little map of Australia on them. That's around the wrong way. Where's Tasmania? Huh? Where's Tasmania? Unacceptable. I mean, we might get that illegal instruction again. There are still problems here. There are a few. Well, number one, this board hasn't been cleaned, so there could be problems associated with that. Number two is we're only running with 2 megabytes. Number three, we're sitting very heavily under voltage at the moment. We're sitting at 4.7 and we should be at 5, so that ain't good. So I can think of lots of reasons why we're potentially not doing so well at the moment. But I'll give us one last try with this. If it doesn't boot, I am then going to, I think I'll just move straight on to getting this analog board working. Because, yeah, there was a time when the situation with an analog board on a Classic and a Classic 2 was just replacing all the caps. Yeah, there we go, another illegal instruction. So whatever's happening is happening consistently. Yeah, so all you had to do was replace the caps, maybe clean up a little bit of corrosion and stuff like that. Nowadays, when it comes to these guys, there are lots of problems. Oopsie. And I have got to the point where I'm virtually not working on these anymore because some of them have just got to the point they're not worth investing the time anymore. I know that sounds cruel, but if I have to spend an hour or 2 hours cleaning up an analog board, you do have to question whether it's worth it. Does Tasmania use the Looney Tunes Tasmanian Devil as its mascot? It does not, no. Tasmania is a beautiful place, but because it's so far south, it's very cold. And I'm not a big fan of the cold. I have been to Tasmania, only once before, but I have been to Tasmania, and it is an absolutely magnificent part of the world, let it be known. Really, really nice. But I would definitely be going there in the summer. Okay, let's just change camera views here. And I'm just going to point out a couple of things. Now, I'm looking at this board and I don't think I've recapped the whole thing. I see a few caps here that I don't think have been replaced. So that's number one. This is my board and I get lazy sometimes. I replaced this cluster here, but I don't think I replaced any of the ones up here. And that's probably okay. Some of these ones could be problematic. I didn't replace this big fat cap here. I'm going to replace that one now. And the other one is the old QP1, which is here. Octocoupler or whatever it's called. That guy there, just there. I'm going to replace that as well because that's a really common failure point on these Macs now. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to replace that. I'm going to replace that just for now, and then we'll just see if that makes any difference to the reliability. Got all these stupid little plugs. Tasmania's a fair way away from me too, by the way. It's not somewhere I can just sort of hop in the car and head out there. They do have a ferry you can take your car across if you want. I think it's very expensive to do that, but you can do that. Beep, beep, beep. So I mentioned right at the beginning of the stream that I have 3D printed replacements for these. They work slightly differently. They're not exactly the same as these ones. The ones that I have 3D printed are just a little plug with a little opened up bit. You can't really see. I'd need a microscope for that. But a little plug there with a little sort of open up parts so you can just push them in and pull them out nice and easy. And I'm really happy to have done that because I've been wanting to get replacements for these for ages, and then I said, why don't I just print them? And the print came out really well, better than I was expecting. Come on. Oops, still one more to go. Oh wow, look how dirty this is. Oh no, actually, look, I've been drawing on it by the looks of it. That would be me probably marking out things that I've replaced at some stage. I was probably marking out where all the caps were that needed to be removed. Blum, 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 blum. And they removed them. Don't know why I marked that there, but we'll worry about that another time. Now this is, I think, this is a high voltage cap, so it may still have some power in it. So we'll just discharge it, or attempt to discharge it, just in case. And that is those two there. So it might go spark, but it might just do nothing. We're opting for do nothing. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm happy with do nothing because I don't like the sparks. They scare me. Let's get the Brucinator. It's up here somewhere. I saw it just before. Just before. Here we are. Yeah. Oh, crap. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. That great big fat cap. Where are we? Here one. Okay. There we go. So that is a 220 microfarad 400 volt. Obviously this is not going to be getting anywhere near 400 volts. It's obviously over spec, so that's good. I smell fish head. Yep. And then we're going to replace the little QP1. Now, here's the challenging part of replacing QP1. It's in one of these containers. And I have to try and find it by smell. We'll find it, don't worry, it's here. I mean, I know it's here, but just, you know. I just haven't made it very easy for myself. So that's no, no, no. No, no, no. 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 Okay. So what are these? Are 400 volt, aren't they? Is that what I said? 400 volt. So I've got a section for 400 volt caps. So how about I put them where they're meant to be, rather than just floating around the desk in a little baggie. 1, 2. Do they fit that way? Almost. 3. Geez, I should have bought more, shouldn't I? I got 4 left. They're not cheap, those great big fat caps. It's one of the reasons why I'm a bit disappointed they sort of have to be replaced now. In the past, it was sort of like, oh, they don't fail very often, so you won't worry about replacing them. But, they're failing, so, yeah. Okay. It's probably here, because I see lots of little dip chips, dip 8s, which is what we're looking for. And watching other people work on analog boards. Yes. Okay. Now, what are the little numbers on it? I'm going to have to look here because my elven eyes can't help me. CNY75GB. Huh? Okay. This one doesn't have a label on it. That's typical of me. That's not it. That's a real-time clock chip. It's got to be this one, surely. You reckon? All right, let's look this up. Is that it? IP1 TDA 40. Huh? TDA 4605. TDA 4605. That's IP1. Is that right? QP1 is only 6 pins. This is 4 pins. So it looks to me like I have a replacement here for IP1. TDA 4. See, if you have a look at that, you see it? Yep, sweet. Yep. TDA 4605. This looks suspiciously like TDA 4605. So that's the replacement for IP1. What about the replacement for QP1? I know I have them. Actually, I think I have them. But it is always possible that I'm an idiot. Nope. What do we got? Oh, that looks promising. Of course, we'll keep them in a completely separate container, away from all of the other components to do with this computer. Mac Classic QP1. I even labelled it appropriately. So should we replace both of them? I mean, it just sort of seems, why not? Don't you reckon? Pin 1, pin 8. Pin 1, pin 6. So that one there is our little replacement, CNY75B. Yay. All right. So yeah, I'm just going to replace both of them because why not? Because technology, that's why. I feel as if my sanity is being challenged today. I might have to stop streaming reasonably soon for some brief mental recovery. I think we've even lost Jay. What do those chips do? Well, they do all sorts of things. I have no idea. Wouldn't have a clue. All I know is they fail a lot. That's that one out. Oh wow, I can smell fish as I was removing that. There will be people in the chat who will know what these chips do. And I am just allowing ample opportunity for all the clever people here to have their moment. Okie dokie. So, it's interesting. I don't recall buying these chips, but I clearly did because they're here. Why did the top view change to the microscope all of a sudden? I must have done something. Octocoupler gives feedback on the voltage regulator. See, that wouldn't make... Okay, so let me tell you what I find with QP1, with the optocoupler, what I've found is that if you are getting the waves, the wobbles, I've found that replacing that often gets rid of the wobbles. So, if you're asking what it does, it stops the wobbles. There you go. There's a scientific explanation. Cop that, DeGrasse Tyson. I've got the wrong glasses on. I'm doing this... Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll just use the microscope. It'll be easier. Yeah, it was easier. Just a slight bendage of the pins to hold it in. One of the things that I do when I am replacing components, I very much don't like bending pins. And the reason I don't like bending pins is because when it then comes time to replace a component, those pins are bent and they make it harder to remove, and that sucks. Let's get this around the right way. So let me show you what I do. Let me show you. Come and sit down and let me show you. I bend the pins, but I only bend two, one at each end. And we'll have a look at this in the microscope and you'll see exactly what I've done. Come on. All right. Oh, yeah. So, let's go to scope view. Yeah, how grotty it is. Anyhow. So, if you have a look at this, I bent this pin here, and I bent this pin here. All right? So that's holding it in. That's great. It's doing the job. Now here's where I do the tricky thing. I solder ones that's not the bent pin. So now the chip's held in place. I'm going to solder the others as well. Then I bend that pin back. So it's in there with no bent pins. Hey! I replaced that chip in mine and it did indeed stop the wobbles. You see, I told you, it's an anti-wobble chip. That's what it is. Whoops. Alrighty then. Now, I do need to eventually get around to recapping everything here because I haven't replaced some of these caps. See, this one in particular, this guy here, these long, thin brown ones are often pretty bad for leakage. Whoopsie. But anyhow, let's put it back together and let's just see how it goes because, you know, top view. Trying very hard not to break this. Just going to tighten this up. That's tight enough. Yeah. Goes up that way, and then that way, and that way, and then plug in the sound. There we go. Jumping for joy. IR preamp prob. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Ah. So they work hand in hand. Find the anti-vertical bars chip. Yeah. Okay. Plug that and plug that. And that. And plug that. Plug in the old, or screw in the old grounding chip here. I've got the sun in my eyes now. That's a bit of annoyance. Bit of annoyance. Incidentally, if you don't connect this ground, right, and when you go to switch this on and this is lying around, huge voltages come flying out of this. And so if you just happen to have this lying somewhere that doesn't like huge voltages, you're likely to fry it. I've seen it happen. Or I imagined it, I don't know. Right, we were going to stick 4 megabytes in this, weren't we? Our little Australian chips, wherever they ended up. Our little chips with no Tasmania on them. Tassie. No map of Tassie. Where do you suppose I put them? Oh, I put them here. Okay, so these little 1 megabyte, little expansion thingies, they just seem to turn up. I don't know if they breed, but I often find I'll just open up a drawer and I'll find like 3 or 4 of them in there, and I'm just like, I'm sure I only put 1 in there. Kai, our good friend Kai Robinson, he has, I think, replicated these. These suck, these Sims. They don't go in. The hole's in the wrong place. It's like bloody Australian-made garbage. The little hole doesn't seem to line up. It doesn't seem to fit properly with this. Well, I'll just see if they go in, if they work not properly seated. I mean, they're pretty jammed in tight. Oh, that one went in. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, we've got 4 megabytes in there now. Okay. We should now have full power. Let's make sure everything is plugged in. Starting to get increasingly annoyed with the sun. I don't have any curtains or blinds or anything, so and when it's winter and the sun's really low in the sky like that, I have no choice but to sit there and stare at it. I had one of those Zulu Scuzzies here as well, didn't I? Yep, there it is. Are you still live? Yes, I'm still live. I am still live. Side view. Here we go. Right. So, after replacing those things, we want to see if we've got any difference. So what I did is I just replaced one cap, the opto coupler, and the Who's a Fudge that talks to the opto coupler. So go to ready, 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's even worse than it was before. Wow. I'm getting pulsing. We're pulsing. So something didn't work out right. So I'm getting, is that the 5 volt rail or the 12 volt rail? But I've made it work less than it did before. So this is the times when I then poke it with a toothbrush. Okay. I've had my pokes fixed for the day. It's very hard to see it with this, but it is pulsing. It's basically going up and then dropping down and going up and then dropping down. So what's happening is that's usually an indication of there being a short somewhere, and it's checking for voltage. It's not getting the voltage it wants, and then it switches off. Then it comes back on again. It checks. It's not getting it. Switches off, and that's sort of fairly typical of pulsing in power supplies. So just going to. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that, son. But I do want to get this sorted, so I'm going to, you know how I replaced 2 chips? I have real concerns about one of them that I replaced because that I don't ever remember buying it. So I'm going to probably put the original of that in and just leave the replaced QP1. I don't think I put it in backwards, but you know what? It's always possible. Maybe I did. We'll have a look. We'll have a look, and if I did put it in backwards, we can then all, you know, make fun of me and stuff like that, because that's what we're all here for. But I am determined. Yeah. I would be very surprised if it was the bad 400 volt cap. I have used them in replacements before, so it would be very unexpected. It's more likely that I did put something on backwards because, you know, it's me. So let's just check the big 400 volter is 400 volter. I'm just gonna look at a photo and make sure I did it around the right way. Oh, actually, I've got a photo in here, don't I? Maybe. It's Colour Classic. That's also a Colour Classic. 2 pictures of a Colour Classic analog board in here. There we go, classic analog. Let's just check and make sure that I haven't been an idiot. I haven't been an idiot, so that's good. So let's just have a look. So looking at the 2 I replaced, you've got, oh fudge, let's go, thank you. Well, this one's definitely around the right way, and I'll show you because we've got a little dot there for pin 1, and that's pin 1. So he is definitely around the right way. So we're feeling confident about that. CNY75B. There we go. This guy here, he's definitely around the right way as well, because that's pin 1 there, and it says pin 1 there. And there's also, you can't see it, but there's a little groove thing here underneath that. So I'm going to put the original one of this back in because I'm just really unsure. Did I reflow the connectors? Well, it was working before. It was working better than this. So, I mean, I just don't think it would be something like a reflow because otherwise it would have been stuffed when I did it before. So I'm going to take this out and put the original one back in because I just replaced this because I was like, oh, look, those numbers match. But I don't ever remember buying these. So, you know. And of course, there are other caps not working and there's gunk on this. Definitely needs it clean, that's for sure. So I'm just going to whip that one out. And we'll put the original one back in. But I'm going to leave the replaced opto coupler because I do know for a fact that is the right one because I went and bought them. I have replaced them in other computers and they have been fine. Yes, but nothing happened when I poked it. So no. Whoops, don't fall off. It would be bad. Thank you everyone for sticking around with me at this stage. I'm feeling like it's starting to lose its momentum somewhat. But you know. Out you come. And let's go back to the original, which is around here. Hang on. Is that the one I just pulled out? There we go. There's the original. I mean, maybe I bought these chips and I got a bunch of counterfeits or something. I don't know. I just don't know. Why am I asking you? Did I put that in backwards? No, I didn't. Fake AliExpress chips. Yeah, it's always possible. It is always possible. If you're ever looking for chips, resist the temptation. Oh, did I do that this time or before? Yeah. Resist the temptation to contact a Chinese chip supplier and ask them if they have some chips. If you do that, you will be forever receiving emails from them. And the most frustrating thing is when someone says they have something, and so you contact them, and then they come back to you and tell you they don't have it. That is really frustrating. There's a lot of that going on. I know what to look for now and what to avoid, but there was once upon a time in my naivety where I was looking for some chips and I did a search and I found some. The company said they have 2,000 of them in stock. So I contacted them and then they didn't have it. But that's even worse than the ones that say they do have it, but you have to pay them up front because you're paying for the cost of them to manufacture their counterfeits. Alright. So we're back with the original of the IP one. But we do have the replaced QP one, which I know I have replaced before and have worked. So unless I've got one defective one here, who knows? And there's no way that there would be an issue with that cap. I mean, it's, you know, it's a good quality cap. I have put it in the right way around. Incidentally, I should actually mention that I have done reflows on all these connectors on this. First thing I do with pretty much any analog board that I work with. So if anyone is actually thinking, oh, you know, I bet there's a cracked solder joint or something like that, I have gone and reflowed all these. The ones I reflow are the flyback transformers and all the connectors. And it is very, very, very common to find cracked solder joints on these things. I mean, like pretty much every vintage Mac that I look at, every compact Mac, you know, let's say a 128K, 512K plus SE, SE30, Classic, Classic 2, pretty much all of them, you will find some cracked solder joints on the connectors. So, good to be armed with the information. This, of course, started with a busted CRT. If you happen to miss that earlier on, I decided to demonstrate, the camera work was atrocious, but sort of demonstrate the process of replacing a CRT from a different computer. If you're just swapping from classic to classic, or even classic 2 to classic 2, and in some cases, depending on the revision of board you have, from classic to classic 2, or plus to plus, or SE to SE, that sort of thing, you can just do a straight swap of the CRT. You don't have to do anything else. But if you're going from like a Mac Plus to a classic where they have a different yoke connector, you've got to replace the yoke when you do the CRT swap. And so that's what I did earlier on in the video. If it is something to interest you and you are late joining, you may want to rewind back or have a look at that at a later time. So that's plugged in. I don't think I plugged in the sound. No, I didn't plug in the sound. We want to be able to hear our flop, 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 flop. So let's do that. Got my hand right in here at the moment. This is a lot easier to do before you screw the board in. But I don't have that luxury because I forgot. There we go. Sound is plugged in. So, ground, anode cap, yoke connector, CRT neck board, and main power connector. All plugged in. Let's give it another crack, shall we? And if it works, then we know that we've got some defective chips there, I dare say. Side view. And if it doesn't work, then I'm going to probably just get upset and cry. All right. 3, 2, 1. Different this time. It's not flopping like it was before. I'm getting power on all rails, but it's way under. So I've got, so yeah, we're not flopping anymore, so that's good. But I'm getting, the minus rail is fine, but I'm only getting 10 volts or 9.5 volts instead of 12, and I'm getting 2.5 instead of 5, which does suggest that there is still something heinously wrong with the thing. It's kind of perplexing. Interesting. No smoke or burning smell. And this is what I would expect typically from an analog board that needed a recap. It's really odd, isn't it? I mean, have I done something stupid? I've done something stupid before. Optocoupler issue. I guess the question is, if that other component was faulty, it might have rooted the optocoupler. What do you reckon? Because we've clearly got a different behavior going on now since I replaced that component, swapped the component out. If that other component was working with the optocoupler and it was bad and then it cooked it, should I try another optocoupler? Yes. I've just answered my own question. I hate having to take this off each time. Do you reckon I could replace it without removing the board? Shall we try that? Okay. Get my glasses. My special glasses. My special made for Bruce glasses. Don't say they're on your head. These are different ones. Here we are. Here's the special glasses. Okay, so we are now trying something stupid. The old try and replace the IC without removing the analog board trick. Install a socket. Roger, stop talking sense, for goodness sake. I would definitely need to remove the board to install a socket. Make no mistake, that would have to happen. All right. Where'd I put the other container? Is that it? Yeah, it's right here. I don't actually have 6-pin sockets. I'd have to cut down a bigger one, which is not out of the question. But I'm loving this kind of super lazy path. I'm trying to do this without removing the board. I just feel like it's become a challenge now. If these wires weren't in the way, I got it. Did I get it the right way around? I think so. I'm telling you, like, it's every now and again, laziness just gets rewarded. Okay. The QP chip looked like it had a tiny wire under it. Was it bridging? I don't think it did. I certainly didn't see that, but you know, it's not impossible. Just get my torch. Okay, just to make sure I put this on the right way around. And I have. Okay, so what we have now is the original other chip and a brand spanking new optocoupler. And let's see whether that made a difference. And look, we save so much time without having to disassemble and reassemble. Ready, set, same. Same. It had a tiny wire under it. I do wonder. This is so much lower voltage than it was before. We were at least in the 4s before. I'm not even hitting 3 volts now. I mean, I've got to put the old optocoupler in there. And of course, if it's fine with the old optocoupler, then we've either got some defective chips or something, or there's a problem with that great big fat capacitor. And I can't imagine there'd be a problem with a great big fat capacitor. I've already replaced that capacitor on 2 classics and it's been great. It's been good. It's been positive. Not life-changing, but still good. Oh, you want me to throw the thermal at it? Yeah. So this is the old opto coupler, which I'm going to put back in, just to rule stuff out. Going to do it the lazy way again, because that just worked. It worked so well. If I have to do this a 4th time, the argument for a socket is very good. I mentioned to everyone before, today's a public holiday here. In case you missed that, I'm going to say it again. Today is a public holiday here. I have today off. I don't have to work. I mean, I'm working, but I don't have to. More importantly, other people don't ring me up on public holidays, so I sort of get a bit of quiet. But I think that will be my opportunity to have a fairly relaxing afternoon. I'm probably going to just muck around with 3D printers and stuff. I need to start getting some of my STLs up on some public locations. I've been threatening to do it on the... oops, I dropped it. Threatening to do it on Ticker Different for ages, and I just haven't been getting around to doing it. Maybe board has hairline cracks. It's always possible. Look, there's actually a possibility for all sorts of trace damage on this. And if I put this optocoupler on and we're still stuffed, then we know that's not it, and that's kind of good, because then we know we're not going mad. We don't know we're not going mad. I mean, I think I'm going mad, but... out of the way. Well, that makes it so much easier to see. I realise it completely stuffs your view, but... it's great for me. Oh, oh no, I dropped it. Oh no, oh no. Oh, okay, it's coming out. Oh no. Here we go. So, can I just do this enough for me to find the thing that I dropped? It's probably landed down here on the logic board. Oh, you know something just... No, there's no way. I'm just going to say there's something that just occurred to me. The RAM. That's something that I did different as well. I put that RAM in. Is it possible that the RAM is causing an issue? What do you think? I mean, I wouldn't have thought it was... You wouldn't... That's what I was just about to say, Roger. I would not have thought that it was going to pull the voltage down. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick to my original plan of replacing this, putting the original one back on, and if it's still stuffed, then we'll try it with the RAM out and see if it makes a difference. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm singing Thunderbirds. Dun, 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 dun. I am that age. I am the age that grew up with Thunderbirds and loved every second of it. Right, original opto coupler back in. Quick soldering here. I'm not too concerned about the heat from the soldering iron because I solder very fast. I would be really surprised if enough heat was going to do damage to the thing on the thing there. The old process of elimination. Yeah, I missed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think by the time they came out I was a bit old for them, so never really watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Watched the reruns and was oddly sucked in. Look, to be honest, they came out in the 60s and I was not alive in the 60s. But they used to run them in the morning when I was growing up. They used to be on, I think, every Saturday morning or something like that, or Sunday morning, quite early, like 6 in the morning or something like that. And of course, being that age, I'd be awake, and I would watch the Thunderbirds. I have them all now, all digital copies. I bought them, I paid for them with money. And I have, digital copies of them all now. So I can watch them whenever I want. And I do sometimes. You know what I find they're really good for? Stuff that you've seen many, many times before is really good at putting me to sleep. So if I'm lying in bed and I'm trying to get to sleep, I'll put something on that I know really well that I've watched before, maybe as a child, and I find I just sit there and I'm out like a light. That's connected, that's connected, that's connected, that's connected. Did I connect the sound? Yeah, that's connected. Let's plug in the RAM because we have to be doing this with proper diagnosis sticks. RAM in. Rocky and Bullwinkle, yes, used to watch that too. Hey Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Again, that trick never works. Okay, All right, we're trying again. Let's go from a side view here. And 3, 2, 1. All right, what have we got? Okay, we've got that really low voltage again. We're down to 2.5 volts. Now, what I'm going to do now is switch it off, take out that RAM thingy, and try it again. It's this Australian RAM. It's the Australian RAM without the Mapatazzi on it. Far out. Can you believe that? If this isn't a lesson for everyone, don't do two things at once. If you're going to be doing anything from a repair perspective, replace one thing at a time. I put RAM in it and I did the opto coupler. Don't do two things at once because it makes it really hard from a diagnosis point of view and makes you feel like a fool. Now, I am going to replace the opto coupler with the first one. Sorry about the focus, guys. Trust nothing on no one from Australia. That's right. Well, Australia is not known for its RAM manufacturing prowess. Let's just go that and say that for sure. Now, this may not have been made in Australia. I mean, there are Motorola chips on here, but yeah. Oh man, might never get this out again. This is so stuck in there. Yeah. Fudgesicle. What am I going to do? Hey, got one out. Piss off, Australian RAM. Vex me so. LC2E PDS card and it's made in Australia. There's an interesting thing. There's an interesting story to be told about some of the Australian computery stuff, and that is that for a while there, if you wanted to have your computer being purchased by the Department of Education out here, so if you were going to get your computer into public schools, there needed to be an Australian component, an Australian-made component. Now, that would mean that they would be able to go in and buy, say, a Colour Classic or an LC or an LC2 or whatever, and put one of those 2E cards in there, and that would have made it qualify to be bought by the Education Department out here. So my guess is that that's probably why something like that was made here. If anyone says put in a socket, I'm going to ban you from the channel. How many times have I replaced it now? Socket, not a sock. Oh dear, oh dear. So Steve, you got a video coming out soon of your spoils from the swap meet? Because I know you never come back from those things empty-handed. Yeah, doing a bit. Oh, Dana's here. Hello, Dana. Where have you been? You missed all the exciting stuff. Now we're just down to me being lazy. Again. Oh, that that went so smooth, that did. Jay and I are on StreamYard. What? What? Can you believe it? I'm constantly being told by Jay, you know, when are you streaming? When are you streaming? I start streaming, and then he goes off and has a StreamYard session with you. That's it. Jay has lost his asking me to stream rights. Never again. He's not allowed to ask anymore. Alrighty. Feeling better now. So everything is plugged in. And I'm going to switch him on. Okay, there we go, 4.78 volts. Let's make an adjustment to that. Side view. On the side, put it on the side. Now this I have to do with it facing this way. My apologies, the view ain't the best. Not to put any Chinese chips in there or Macintosh will sound really strange. Quit your crying, I'm watching. There's going to be a test afterwards. I'm going to just check and make sure you have been watching. Whether you just say you've been watching. Alright, so this is the little guy here. It's my little adjustment. And you can't see it, unfortunately. I'm not going to move it though. Can I move it a little? No, that's as far as I can go. It's here. It's just at the bottom. And this is telling me what the voltage is. It's saying 4.7. I'm turning the little knobbly. 4.8. It's not changing. Oh, it's going the wrong way. Hey, you are. Okay, 5. There we go, 5.0. 5.01. Right on the money. There we go. So that's, you can't see it because LED lights come up like shit on camera. Minus 12.3 volts, 5.01, 11.8. That's within spec for the 12 volts. So we're all good there. Let's, you might have heard it restart while I was doing that. When I twiddled the volts to a certain point, I think I made it restart itself. So, what do we know about this? We know we've only got 1 megabyte of RAM in it, so I'm going to see if I can find some good ones. Not those shitty Australian ones. Be right back. I'm not going far. I'm just going to my special container. It's a special container. How did you get out? Well, the chickens is out. Oh. Hello, chicken. Now, I'm sure I've got some ones in here. Got some 16s. Don't need those. They'll be no good in a make. Oh, look at that. There's a one. That's a nice one. There's another one. And they even look the same. Matching ones. Hello. I don't know how that chicken keeps getting out. I have to set up a camera and watch it or something. Okay. Here we are. Oh, you know what I did? Or didn't do? I didn't move the jumper that tells the thingy that you've got 4 megs on there instead of just the one. I swear I have just gone into stupidity streak today. Hello. Oh man, I'm just sim installed, sim not installed. Here I am blaming Australian sims, and all along it was just the Australian behind the friggin' camera. Anyhow, they're still crappy sims anyway. I'll stand by that because they're really hard to get in and out. There we go. All right, so. And let's put the SCSI in. Okay, so I've got that. I might connect up a keyboard and a mouse. God, where am I going? Here, it's under my feet. So that I can control. This is my favourite sort of mouse of the old vintage era. The one looks like the little cars from that Spectre computer game. What do they used to call it? I can't remember. But I like these mice. I find them very easy to use. All right, so ready? 3, 2, 1. Now we've got to pause where all the volts are fine. And it's unhappy. I think that's like a RAM failure test. I think that is. Look at that code. Never seen a code like that before. Oh, you can't see it. There we go. Look at that code. It's a wacky code. Maybe there's a problem with this RAM thingy, the expansion card. See, it doesn't like something. I wonder if I've got another one of these somewhere. I mean, this thing might be crap. This thing might be defective. I have so many things that I've just sort of acquired. Yeah, so that worked fine. It worked a little bit out of focus, but it worked fine. Come on, camera. I don't know why it's being such a dick. I mean, I know why it goes out of focus when it's just zoomed in here, but when it's got my hand here, it should be able to focus. That took some time, didn't it? Is that one dirty hand or what? So, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? In a perfect world, I would probably just try and hunt down another one of those little riser cards. Which I feel like there should be some somewhere. I'm surrounded by classics and stuff. I found one just the other day. What did I do with it? We're starting to degenerate into chaos, aren't we? Starting to. I know I've got one of these little riser boards in the house. Shall I go get it? It's virtually just traces. It's got a few resistors on it. I think there might be a couple of capacitors as well. There are, yeah, just resistors. Yeah, that's it. Just resistors. So anyhow, I'm going to quickly pop up to the house and do the back soon thing. I'm going to go and grab the other riser card that I have, and we'll try that. So just bear with me for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Hello. All right, found another one. This one's a bit different because this one has socketed dip chips for the RAM. And this one does have a capacitor on it. Little 10 microfarad 50 volt. Yes sirree, yes sirree. Okay, so I've got that. I'll move the little thing to sim on. And we'll slide this in and see what happens. Bang, look at that. Okay. Just bear with me a second. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do. Right. So, what was I doing? I was about to switch this on. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, we got to start. We got the voltage. We got the things. We got everything. It's all working. So I think there's something wrong with that riser card. I think. Oh, don't you give me that focus thing. So the main thing is that this is stable, and I won't really know this until it has a chance to cool down, because what happens with a lot of these vintage Macs, the classics in particular, is you'll switch them on and they'll be stuffed. They'll warm up and then they'll start working, and they'll work reliably. And you can switch it off and switch it on again and they'll just fire it up. So what I need to do with this, I need to give it that opportunity to cool right down, let it get completely stone cold, and then switch it on from cold. But what we have to remember here is what we started off with. We started off with a Mac that was giving us a wobbly, checkerboardy type nonsense. It had a busted nipple on the CRT, and it wasn't a vacuum anymore, so it wouldn't work. So we have put in a new CRT. We've replaced one of the big caps, and we have replaced the optocoupler, and we do have a situation now where it is working of sorts. We haven't got to the point of booting it into a system, but hopefully we will now. If we get another illegal instruction like we did last time, I'm just going to stick this board in the ultrasonic cleaner and hope that fixes it, because I've got no reason to think there's anything wrong with that board at all. So I think all things considered, it has gone pretty well. I have a Macintosh Classic here that didn't work, and now it does. So, good. This is where we were getting the illegal instruction before. Oh, now we've got an address error. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to try this now with a different board. And we'll see if it starts, because then we can know whether it's the board or not. This is my board. This one has a SCSI terminator on the internal. That might be part of the problem, who knows. But I just want to boot into a system, It'll just make me feel better. Does it error when it boots from the ROM? You see, you asked me that question now, and I've unplugged everything. I don't think it would, because System 6 is so kind of carefree. System 6 just doesn't care. Ooh. That's not good. Just found a really ugly looking trace on the other side of this board. I better clean that up before I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm just going to try a different board. I just want to know that we can boot into a system on this one. And so the other one needs some cleaning. It's covered in flux and grease and guts and stuff. And CRT grime. Picked up a fair bit of CRT grime during all this. All right. Okay, right, okay. This is just to focus. Good night, Steve. Mystery Margo, hello there. It is also possible that my System 7.01 on this card is stuffed. I really shouldn't rule that out. This is just so it stays in focus. Picasso Mac. All in all, I'm feeling pretty pleased with this today. I have to say, we did a recap of a board. A lot of cleaning involved. Took a lot longer than it would normally, but you know, got it recapped, so that's all nice. Got the CRT into this. Got this booting. Oh, you asshole. Okay, so it's not the board. So it's more likely to be, voltage is fine, so it's more likely to be that the operating system on this SD card is hammered. So let's just boot into ROM, shall we? Can I get the keys quick enough? Ready? XO. It's out of focus again. There we go. Man, how fast does System 6 fire up? It's just crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I think really the problem that I've been chasing there with that is there is a problem with that that system on that SD card. I probably just need to run a bit of a Norton's on it. The only extensions I have on there are very benign ones. I'd be very surprised. You never know, but yeah, maybe we could try it with the shift key. Ooh, we'll try that. Anyone would think I don't know how Macs work. It's having a good old think. Oh, it's rebuilding the friggin' desktop on the System 701 I've got on there. If for anyone who's ever familiar with System 6, on System 7 they actually made it so that if it has to rebuild the desktop, a little dialog comes up and says rebuilding the desktop with a little progress bar. On System 6, when it's rebuilding the desktop, all you get is just you get your clock. You get your little finger, your little clock there saying waiting, waiting, waiting. Can I stop it? Apple period. Nope. And you can't stop it either. Is that going to be a test chassis? Does it look that bad, does it? I've got lots of classics and classic 2s. There was a time a few years ago where people were just throwing classics and classic 2s at me. I was getting them cheap and I was just grabbing them because I'm like, you know, why not? And there are 2 cases up there. I don't even know what's inside them. Another one down there. And I've got, I think, at least 2 or 3 in the house. So I don't know. I might end up putting this one back together and having him happy and friendly. I'm really regretting leaving this in. I'll give it another 10 seconds and then I'm just going to stop it. 10, 987, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go. So let's just check here about the Finder. We can see that we have got, it says 2 megabytes, even though I've got 4 in here. So for whatever reason, it doesn't like that RAM. Or did I have the thing in the wrong position? SIM, no SIM. I've got it on the no SIM jumper setting because I'm special. I essentially, when I grabbed this, there were no SIMs on it. And so I assumed that the jumper was on no SIM. Oops. Oh no, doesn't like that RAM. So you know how we were having that problem before with the other thing? It's the RAM, it doesn't like the RAM. Maybe they're 4 megabyte SIMs or something, I don't know. Just some RAM I grabbed from the bucket. Well, I'm not going to worry about it anymore because at least I know what the problem is now. It's definitely the RAM causing that particular problem. Could be the reason for that illegal instruction thing that I was getting as well. That could well be the cause. I think I'm going to probably wrap things up now. So once again, as usual, I say a big thank you to everyone for being here. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for keeping it lively and interesting and all that sort of stuff. Trying to boot an SE30. The hard drive activity light just stays on. Does that suggest a faulty hard drive? If it's the original hard drive, I'd say that's your most likely thing. Yes. Yes. Well, yes is the short answer. Yes. Yes, the hard drive is stuffed. Yes, thanks again everyone for watching. I do appreciate it. Thanks for spending the time. Thanks for keeping the chat lively. Thanks for keeping me entertained while I worked on this. I did manage to get stuff done, so I'm happy. I'm always happy when I get things done. That's great. I don't know when my next live stream will be. I'm trying to make them a bit more frequent. I had a bit of a pause because I was working on a review video that just ate up so much of my time. But yeah, things are going to probably get a little bit easier. So thanks again. Have a good one. Have a good morning, night, evening, afternoon, whatever. I'm probably going to start drinking in about an hour's time because it's a day off. Why not? Have a good one. Hope to see you at the next one. And I shall see you later. Bye-bye.